On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will break down the series finale of The Bad Batch. What did the cavalry arriving achieve, and where do Star Wars fans go from here? Did it satisfy after the late run of episodes featuring the same plot point of reaching Tantus over and over, or was the landing not stuck? The dudes will also riff on some recent Daisy Ridley Star Wars news and what's in store for May the 4th. Of course, the show will end with a question of the week responses and the latest round of top 5 Star Wars fan artist features. Punch it, Chewie. Hey now, everybody! Welcome back to the Star Wars Time Show. It's Matt, it's Nick, and their cats. Although mine just disappeared. Our cats were having a little pre-show with us before we went live, because they too are feeling a little emotionally destroyed after what I haven't even told Nick this yet. After what I consider to be probably one of the most emotional Star Wars scenes I've ever consumed.
I don't think that we watched the same show.
The best epilogue ever provided for a Star Wars property. Like I honestly...
you think that this was the best ending ever?
I said epilogue. I didn't say finale. I said...
Oh. Is there like something after the credits that I missed?
No, the epilogue and most emotional, one of the most emotional moments in all of Star Wars for me. And listen, I understand why there's going to be a disconnect with you. You are not a father of a human, especially not a little girl. But that the epilogue between Hunter and Teen Omega was devastatingly beautiful. I'm not fucking around. Like it even thinking about it right now kind of gets me a little fucked up. So we'll see. Maybe I'll break on the show. You never know. I definitely, if you watch my review, which you should, how dare you if you haven't seen it yet, you will hear my voice start to weaken and crack when I describe why that scene affected me the way it does. So maybe Nick should listen to that before he starts making fun of my emotions.
I probably won't, but we'll see.
Yeah, I understand. We may get into a fight today. We haven't had a Nick and Matt fight in a long time, so we'll see. But I will fight Nick over the epilogue. There's no shit talking to be had with that. The rest of the finale, definitely ripe for poking holes into. Although I do think it was good overall, but we'll get there when we get there. This week, I'm not going to fuck up, and we are actually going to get right to the Ask Us Anything, Nick. I almost forgot. I've got my Abigail poster up there, but we're going to do it. All right, so let's go ahead and get the Slack screen up and running here, because we actually had a lot of questions. And kudos to Rippick Tan. He provided so many questions that I have had to create a folder of Rippick Tan questions to use on subsequent shows. So kudos to you for coming through. But we're going to feature 2 of your questions because we actually got I think like 8 this week. So let's go ahead and get into it. Abigail, go ahead and take a seat for a little bit. We'll talk about you shortly. All right, Nick. So first up, coming from Rippick Tan, a longtime SWTS fan, not a member yet. Speaking of members, if you want to join, go ahead right now. Write down the description. You can do so. There should be a join button, links. I've got little red dots all over the place. I've been studying what it takes to be a shepherder of a membership live YouTube channel. So check it all out. We're doing all the things the cool kids do now. 11 members. Kudos. Those of you that are members, we speak your names and we honor you in our scroll now. You will forever be immortalized in the SWTS, very basic looking Star Jedi font scroll on the stream. So if you want to see your names, if you want to see yourself being immortalized on one of the least watched Star Wars live streams on the planet, all you got to do is tune into youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show Wednesdays, 5 p. East, or as close as we can get. So kudos to you all. Your names are up there. We're almost getting too many for me to remember. So there's 11 now. Very impressed, very touched. And yes, because of your support, we've been able to add new emojis. So we've got a cat Soka, we've got an Asajj, and as requested by the membership, a custom Golden Vader trophy for you to award us in chat when we do something amazing, which we typically do on a weekly basis. And
also, big shout out to Devin for the super chat.
That's right. Kisses back, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
We love you. All right, Nick. So first question for us here from, hey, Boss Jan. First question here from Ripiktan. I've seen some talk of George returning. Any weight to that, you think?
I mean, no, because we've heard this rumor like every year since Disney took it over. Like at some point, it's always like some rumor spins up that's like George is coming back, he's going to have his own show, or George is coming back, he's going to have his own movie, or this or that or whatever. I don't think that there's any weight to it. I don't think that he wants to be involved. I think that that's the reason that he sold it, is that he kind of has moved on from it and he was ready to hand it off to somebody else. I mean, obviously there was a huge financial windfall in for him as well, but I just don't think that he has the desire to work on a full-scale Star Wars project again. If he is involved, it would be similar to how he was involved with Solo, where it's like, yeah, he showed up on set, he hung out with Ron Howard, he gave him some tips, he gave a little bit of input on a scene that was happening between two characters that George created, and then, kind of went on from there. But in terms of if I think there's any weight to it, I don't think that there is. But if it were to happen, I'd be all for it. Like, let him come back and have his own series, or let him come back and do a one-off film. I'm all for it.
Oh, look at this. SW Props has entered the chat.
Look at that.
Hey, those of you live right now, I've changed the latency to low. Is it any closer to real time, or do we look like complete piss? Let us know if anything's changed for you. But for some reason today, when I fired up the back end, it's like, hey, asshole, try using different latency for a more interactive stream. I'm like, well, we do kind of interact with the stream, so we might as well try it out. But knowing our luck, anytime I push a new button, shit'll light on fire and explode. So I'm guessing, Nick, they probably can't hear us, see us, or interact. So we'll
I don't know. Johnny says everything looks good.
Oh, we looking good down in Houston.
Okay,
Be mad. Hey, now I'm out here cleaning Harley Davidson bikes for Thunder Beach, sharing the wealth. Love you, buddy. You missed our new pre-stream, which identifies the most recent super chatter and subscriber, and your name was proudly displayed on it for all to see. We love you. Be mad dropping in. He's like, he found the new trophy. I'm telling you, people, you got to get into the live stream these days. It's like once we turned memberships on, it just became a fucking party. Let's do it. Let's go. Looks fine. Nick's ugly hat looks the same. He must not be a fan of the Saints.
He might. I don't know. Yeah, maybe Bat's not a huge fan of the Saints, which is fine.
He's Saints a Bears fan, so that doesn't necessarily line up. But hey, I don't know. I mean,
well, the Bears and the Saints do have a bit of there was some animosity there for a bit, but I think it was before we won our Super Bowl. The Bears knocked us out of attending a Super Bowl, but then we went back and won a Super Bowl anyway, and the Bears did.
It was the one where what's his name, Little Peanut, or the guy just kept running kickoffs back to beat you guys.
Honestly, I don't remember what exactly happened in the game, but I do remember it was a close game. It was sloppy.
Drew Brees era, right?
It was Brees versus Rex Grossman.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, Nick, we won't bring that up. That's got to be nightmarish for you. That's rough. I mean, that's like the Steelers with Ben losing to Baker Mayfield last year or whatever. So yeah, I get you. All right, Ripik, like I said, we're going to cover one more of yours in this segment, but I've got the rest saved. But please keep them coming. Anyone, if you want to load up the questions one day, that's fine too. Like I'm always ripe for content from the fans to make you all feel like you're involved. Yeah, wrong button there, Haywood. All right. coming from our buddy 2797 Studios, who is live and a member, who has a bigger body count, Tarkin or Hux? I think this is an easy one, Nick. Since I didn't reply to the George thing, which it's never going to happen, those theories come from the clickbaiters of Star Wars coverage, like Mike Zero, Theory, all those idiots.
Like the ones who always bring it up. And they're always wrong.
Yeah, just you got to understand, I know they have huge followings, but that doesn't mean they know shit or have any sort of intelligence. Who has a bigger body count, Tarkin or Hux? This one, to me, is not even close. I mean, Hux blew up an entire system.
Yeah.
Tarkin, tons of murder all through the Clone Wars and the Rise of the Empire, but he technically only has like a planet and a half under his belt because he didn't do a full nuke of Jeddah. It was just a quarter power. So he really only has one full planet, where Hux has an entire system. Just eliminated the New Republic in the push of a button and a little bit of a channeling of Hitler. So Hux takes this one.
Yeah, no input needed from me. That's just the straight fact of it. Hux wins that one.
Yeah. What the hell am I doing, man? I see an arrow. I'll click on it, Nick. It's okay. Yeah. Damn it!
Like, which arrow is it? I'm zooming in.
All right, coming here from Star Wars Toys 73. Will we ever find out what happens to the named clones not covered in Bad Batch?
I mean, this is probably something that we'll get deeper into in our Bad Batch finale breakdown, but I'm just going to give you my opinion. I don't think so. Yeah, I think that we have moved on.
I concur. I made similar points in my full breakdown. Again, check it out. I would appreciate it. But with the way they handled the epilogue, they pretty much said, "Yeah, we don't care about all that time anymore. We've moved the one main character that could still have an impact on Star Wars stories in the the OT and Mandoverse era. We moved her along." Which to me is a signal that that's it. It's it. Like I unless it's a Rex-led show, and that still doesn't make sense, it's done. I think the Rise of the Empire, at least from the viewpoint of an Omega or a clone, is over.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
All right. Pixel Rope, and sorry Pixel Rope, we probably should do the show a day early, but he's asking, are we going to see Grogu or some nod that the Empire has him in this episode? No.
And I think, clearly not, yeah.
I think as we have learned, and at least I've learned again, and I don't have to be happy about it, but I've learned sometimes these Star Wars stories, especially animation, they're going to tell a single story. They may pop up some other threads to support that single story, but in the end, they're only going to wrap that single story, and that's what we got in the Bad Batch. Literally it. I can't wait to do next week when we do our grading of Nick and I's predictions in once, because it's probably one of our worst ever.
Yeah, I think we had too high of expectations for this show. Honestly.
It's again, slight shame on us for doing the headcanon thing like super fans tend to do. I mean, we do have to take a bit of responsibility when we set expectations, and we just got to understand sometimes we may have better ideas or they just, like I said, sometimes I truly think, especially in animation, they're like, we're starting at A, this is going to be Z, we might pop up some shit in between, but in the end, if you think about it, the story of the Bad Batch was having the brothers learn that there's more to life than war, what it means to kind of take care of someone, love someone, be a parent, a brother, a father. And for Omega, just going from someone that never saw the galaxy to someone who is potentially going to help save the galaxy. That was the story of the Bad Batch. Everything else in between, as we found out in the finale, was nothing burgers. And should we be overly happy about that? No. Can we say it stuck the landing? No. But is it a pile of shit? I personally do not think so. It's just these days our expectations, as Nick said, may be getting too grand and too deep. We're thinking there's too many layers to things that are actually relatively simple. And I do think if you approach the Bad Batch that way, especially now you can binge the whole season, I think you'd come out feeling a little differently than Nick and I. I'm clearly not as down on it as Nick. We'll get into it more later, but I do realize some of my disappointment is definitely fan headcanon related, and I'm not necessarily going to bitch and moan about that. All right. Last one here, I believe, from Rippick, Nick. This might be a good one from you because you are a creative, but he's saying, I'm out of toy photo ideas for Star Wars recently. Want to throw a few out there.
Like knowing Rippick's work is like very scene oriented and like very like sweeping, or it's like, you know, like very high quality. I would say like step out of your comfort zone and do something like comedic, do something funny, do something that is a little bit more on the light side of Star Wars, and you know, see what that sparks in your mind, because I think that could be really cool to see done in your style.
I like that. That's a great tip from young Nick. I'm going to leave you with, we need more Slave Leia photography. There you go. I gave you a
combine
character.
Those two ideas.
Yeah, I gave you a subject. Nick gave you an idea. Let's see it. I would love to see it. So it also let us know if you listen. So there's that too. We love that type of feedback. Who listens? Who doesn't? Clearly, our live streamers, we know they're listening. But it's always nice to kind of get a message here or there, be like, hey, I found you idiots on podcasts, and I'm kind of into it now. I like that type of shit. Mando Pirate Rippick from the live stream chat is demanding more Twi'lek photography.
There you go.
Yeah, so anything hair related. What's her name? Lula. Who's the little green dancer? Is it Ula? Is it Ula?
Ula.
Or is it Ula like the fat lady with the rolls and she has like these.
Oh yeah, I can't remember that.
You know what I'm talking about though? Like that always kind of freaked me out when I was little. I was like, is she supposed to be dancing like that and shaking those things? Is that a man, a woman? I don't know. What's Joey Cogg saying here? Star Wars characters in a Nathan's hot dog eating competition. Hey, see, you never know what you're gonna get when you ask the SWTS audience. I like it.
That'd be funny. Yeah.
Okay, we're getting confirmation. Ula was the skinny one. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Be Mad ranking his Bad Batch seasons 1 greater than 2, greater than 3. Okay.
I think I agree with that.
I could see that. All right. We're not there yet, people. Don't worry. Plenty of Bad Batch coming up. Oh, shit. We got Johnny with a question here. Would you prefer Omega's story to continue in live action or animated?
I think for me, live action. I do think that the animated side of Star Wars needs to take a bit of a break and figure out like what era it wants to function in now. I do not think that they should do a direct follow-up to Bad Batch, because there's already so much that kind of happens in the area directly after it. So I would really like to see Star Wars animated move to a different era. You know, whether that be sequel era, or hey, like if you want to go back and you want to do, you know, more around like the prequel era, not even like Old Republic, but if you want to, you know, function in the High Republic or something like that. But I do think that her story would be better served in live action.
We just learned B-Mad's origin story. He actually found us through Bad Batch Season 1. Look at that. It's Kismet.
Look at that. Nice.
And he follows it up with Tamir in a wig, live action Omega. Nice.
Yes.
I'm sure he would sign up if given the opportunity. Yeah. Is that our last one? No, another one. What the hell is going on here?
501st Photogs. We got actually one more after this one, too. We got a question from Lee.
501, what do you think the next show is? I'm still hopeful we'll get something with Rex Crew.
I mean, I guess he's meaning next in terms of like chronological, like if they're going to make another show within this timeline. And my answer would be, I really do hope that the next is just Kenobi. Like I don't want anything else in this time, because it's already kind of getting a little overinflated. Like there's a lot of content there, and we're spilling into the zone where it's like, okay, well, Kenobi's next, and then you have Rogue One after Kenobi, and then you have Episode 4, and then you got Rebels, even and you got Andor. Yeah, I mean, there's just too much other content that's already lined up in this era, so I don't think you need another one. And I think that it is like time to move away from the clones. And like you said, Matt, I think the epilogue of this show kind of said that as well. that the clone era has ended. So I doubt that we'll get a Rex and crew show.
Yeah, and you know, I'm sure I'll go into it in more detail, but the epilogue to me was a clear signal that, hey, we've moved on from this shit, at least from the perspective of clones. I think 501, the only potential we have left for animated, if they want to stick in this era, is an Asajj-led show where she is working with the Path and Quinlan Vos. It's the only thing that could help lead into Kenobi. Outside of that, like Nick said, the Rise of the Empire was supposed to be Bad Batch, and it gave us what it gave us, and I do believe for the most part it's moving on, at least from a clone perspective. Yeah, the Asajj stuff at this point, I am fearful it's going to be relegated to words and shit, but I would not be disappointed if she is the next series, as long as it's involved with her Jedi love, the Path, and all the shit they were doing before we saw that reveal in the Kenobi series.
Yeah, I think that would be the only thing that I'd be down for if it's a continuation. Like, I don't think following... I mean, like, one, there just really isn't an opportunity for anything else that makes sense. Like, you can't do another Rebellion focus show because Rebels is right there.
Correct.
So you would really need to focus on something that is around, like, how are the surviving Force users and Jedi, like, you know, continuing to make their way during this time period? Because now we know that, like, there's a shitload of Force users and Jedi that are still alive. So it could be interesting to have a show, like you were saying, where it's like path driven with Asajj and Quinlan, and then the characters that we met in the Kenobi series. But yeah, I mean, I can't see another show happening that is like focused on the rebels themselves.
Yeah, it really is over. And I can't necessarily say I'm sad. I would have liked a bit more clarity on, as we called them for years now, the named clones. But in the end, is it really that impactful? Not necessarily. I mean, when we saw Rex, Wolf, and Gregor together in Rebels, we never knew that we'd even have a potential to explore how that even happened, and we did get some of that. So, I mean, like I said, this series finale, I've been all over the place with it. I like it. I question it. I feel it's too clean and safe at some times. I feel it has some of the best emotional Star Wars I've ever consumed. So I don't know. But I do think the era, at least from the clone's point of view, it's tapped out. So yeah, there you go.
It's closed. It's closed.
Okay, are we done with all these? Holy shit, we're never doing this again. Next up, League of Extraordinary Sixers. Do you think we will get announcements May 4 or during some other event?
I hope so. I hope so. You know, I know that I think that Star Wars and Lucasfilm in general have started to get better at like plugging their leaks, it seems, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, if you think about 3 years ago, like, we were hearing about shows that were in production, you know, like in development. Dude, not even in production.
We had the whole Rise of Skywalker script.
Yeah, like the leaks were just insane. And we knew so much stuff that was happening before Disney announced it and before, you know, actors were cast and everything else. And it seems like now they've done a much better, like, this Rise of the, or like the Tales of the Empire thing, like, we had no fucking clue that was coming. And like, you know, then, and neither did the leakers, it seemed.
No, there was no leak on that Tales of the Jedi S2 would be rebranded or morph into Empire.
So I do think that we're going to get some announcements on May 4th. And, you know, obviously the tickets are now on sale for Star Wars Celebration Japan. So I expect that to be chock-a-block full of announcements and reveals as well. But yeah, I mean, I look forward to an active May 4th, but who knows? Yeah,
speaking of Celebration, I got the email tickets. I think they go on sale tomorrow. Yeah, I'm reading the fine print because I was considering securing tickets just in case, because I knew I could get rid of them if I needed to. But I don't know if anyone has read this yet, and I think this is new for over there. They're not mailing out the fucking tickets. You're literally going to have to fucking sit in those death queues and pick up your fucking passes at the event. And that's almost enough to keep me from even considering making that journey over to Nippon. I don't understand that. They're like, well, to avoid international shipping delays, you're selling the fucking tickets a year in advance.
Yeah, and I don't see how, like, why are you shipping these tickets internationally? Like, I guess you have a large international audience regardless of where you're shipping it from. So even if the event was held in the United States, you're still going to have to ship tickets over to people who bought it from the UK and, any other countries in Europe.
I mean, what is it,
or
the
Asia.
16th century though? I mean, don't we have fucking mail and shit? Like planes?
Or why are we not moving to a digital ticket system where
badges.
it's on your fucking phone?
Yeah.
Like every event that I've been to recently where I had to buy a ticket, my ticket is on my phone.
Yeah.
I scan my phone and I'm done. Like I don't understand.
That's actually a great point. It just goes back to what century are we living in? I can remember, I mean, I'm old enough that I went to the second ever celebration and the third. Guess what? Celebrating the prequels. Yes, Matt. Went to the Clones one and then the Tross one. I only missed the Phantom Menace one because I was still in high school.
Rots, not Tross.
Damn
I mean,
it.
Technically, we did go to the Tross one. So
yeah, we did Tross.
We did
I
Tross.
did
That was
TLJ.
Chicago.
I did not do the TFA one. I think the TLJ was the first one I did after many years of taking breaks from the early ones. But anyways, my point was they did that shit there. It was a fucking nightmare. I mean, the lines were wrapped around the RCA Dome in Indianapolis to pick up passes. And I'm just like, no, it's already a line fuck. So why punch your guests, these Star Wars fans, right in the dick when they get there?
Yeah, it's a very odd decision that they've made to do it.
I'm telling you, man, I was committed. I'm like, hey, I'm at least gonna buy 3 passes just in case we decide to go. And I saw that print. I'm like, I don't even know if I could resell the fucking things. I mean, how do you sell something you don't have access to?
Yeah, that's very true. Good point.
Oh well, there we go. Hey, we did the Ask Us Anything on time. Who knows if people liked it or not, but there it is. We got it out of the way. I don't know if do we like doing that first, or should we keep it?
Maybe not as many. Maybe we just pick 5. Maybe we do 5 questions.
I agree. I got excited because it's the first time we actually
we had
got a response. So yeah, you are right, Nick. I'd say 4 to 5 tops for sure.
Yeah.
B-Matt, what are you talking about? They had the TLJ celebration in Orlando. It was actually
TLJ was in Orlando.
That actually was a really shit setup by Reed Pop. Holy hell, that was one.
I went back and I listened to one of our old episodes.
Yeah. When
you were recapping your Orlando experience, and you hated it.
Yeah.
I
mean, I was media back then, and even then, I still had to wait in lines. I had to fight people who were like, "No, you gotta wait." I'm like, "Fuck you! I have an appointment with the Rebels team. Eat a dick." And that the whole weekend was that way. They never fixed the media badges. And this is the one where motherfuckers literally had to camp out 18, 19 hours on concrete to see any of the good panels. So I didn't get any of the panels unless I had media access, and I didn't get a ton of media access. Luckily, I got invited to all the Rebel stuff. So I got to sit there with Dave during the press scrum, where it was him, all the voice actors. That was fucking a life experience. But outside of that, the Orlando one was, I believe, the first time Reed took it over, and it was horrendous. But I do agree, the Orlando conference area, pretty nice. It is a conference type of town, for Christ's sake. So, all right. So a little pop culture tour real quick, and then we will get you to your Star Wars. Don't worry. I caught a movie last week. I know it's not brand new, but it is still in theaters. And if you're into a vampire, horror, kind of crime genres, you're going to dig Abigail. It's damn good. It's kind of like a blend of genres. It starts out, you're like, this is like a legit horror movie. And then, kind of gets into, oh, this is a monster movie. And then it kind of gets into, oh, this is an action movie that may even be kind of funny. And by the end, there's even a little heart baked into it. So huge fan of Abigail. The little girl is great. The general gist of the story is, she belongs to this ultra rich guy. Some criminals kidnap her and have to watch her for a night. And things you learn that Abigail isn't as innocent as she looks. So if you like vampire stuff, slashers, sometimes funny action, you will dig Abigail. Okay.
Yeah. Nice. My only piece of pop culture recommendation would be Three Body Problem on Netflix. If anybody
So it is good.
is familiar with that, I've only watched 2 episodes. I'll just put that
and
on Front Street.
Hey Nick, is Sam Tarley like a lead, or is he just like part of the timeline?
He is one of the leads so far as I can tell.
Okay.
But this show scratches an itch for like sci-fi, like science fiction, not like sci-fi fantasy, but like
true,
really science fiction. And it's intelligent. It's based off of real science. You can actually go on YouTube, and Neil deGrasse Tyson has a video up now explaining the real three-body problem, like the astrophysical three-body problem.
Is it from Newton, Nick? Is Newton the one that proposed this? Sir Isaac Newton.
Yeah, so it was one of his like initial thoughts, like one of his initial observances of the universe or of the galaxy is that like Earth orbits between 2 very large celestial bodies. And at a certain point in its arc, and this isn't any spoiler for the show, this is literally from Neil deGrasse Tyson's explanation of the three-body problem.
Which he said is unsolvable, right?
Well, there are different conditions for it. There's the limited three-body problem or the restricted three-body problem, which is what Earth and Jupiter and the Sun are in, and that is solved, and that is solvable. And then there are other three-body problems that he goes into that are chaotic and mathematically unsolvable. He actually describes the three-body problem in relation to Tatooine as well within that video. So if you're a big fan of like science and stuff like that,
Neil's always good listen.
He is. He's great, dude. I love Star Talk and everything that he does.
Dude, he even interviews Howard Stern's Whack Pack at times. Like they'll ask him questions and he answers them in a serious manner. It's pretty great.
Yeah, so I mean, I do love him, but yeah, I mean, the show. Like I said, I'm only 3 episodes in. It seems like some people in the chat are farther along. It seems like Bat may have finished it already, but it is top quality science fiction.
All right,
that is just
well worth it. I've been trying to push the wife into that one. I didn't succeed yet. We settled on Discovery is in its final season. That's always a fun little Star Trek show. So that's what we're on right now. But I think we're about to catch up to our built up stash of episodes. So I may have to try to make a beeline for the 3BP. All right, good. I'm all about it. No, Nick is in BMAD. Nick is, I believe, watching Fallout, or at least started it. I don't know if he's finished it.
Yeah, I think Taylor and I just watched episode 3. So we're not quite halfway through. It's good. It's a very good,
I've been told that is a
series.
solo Matt show, so I'm gonna have to fit that in on my own time. That's not for partner viewing apparently. So
no, I mean I was surprised. Like Taylor put on the 3rd episode yesterday or 2 days ago.
Oh, look at that.
So she's a little into it, but it is a bit gory for her, I will say.
Oh, good. But then you're speaking my love language, dude.
Yeah, so it's right up your alley.
Like over the top gore is the best. I love it.
Yeah.
Like to the point where it's just fucking silly, where you almost laugh at horrific things happening on screen. I'm kind of into that.
That is pretty much how that show
I don't know what that says about me internally, like how I'm wired, but seeing heads explode like grapes and shit is it's hilarious. It just is. All right. Well, good tip there, Nick. I trust your opinion. So I'm definitely going to try to get on that shiznat, the 3BP. Yeah, okay. Some Star Wars stuff real quick. And this is real low hanging fruit. Just, keep everyone on the same page. You never know, especially when a Star Wars female actor speaks, what some people will spin it into. But Daisy is out, Nick. She's got a new movie and she's promoting it. So obviously they're asking about her new Star Wars film. And I don't know. I thought this quote was interesting and I wanted to kind of hear what you think about it. So, they kind of ask her about this new movie that we don't know much about outside. It might feature a new Jedi Order. And, they're just like, hey, what are you thinking? And she says, I honestly have had moments where I'm like, I don't know if I remember what I did as Rey. It's really strange. I think the whole thing will feel so different anyway with a totally different team. I'm in a very different place than I was. I'm probably going to be one of the adults. And initially, I was the youngest person on set, which is a weird feeling. So, what does she go on to say here? She just says, I would hope it's a lot of the same crew. Obviously, many people shifted, but many people stayed the same through all three films. And there was something wonderful and comforting about that. But I don't know. It all remains to be seen. I would hope it feels natural in some way, but also like, I don't know. It's a new adventure. I'm hoping it's sort of a bit of both. So what do you think about Rey saying she doesn't really know if she even remembers how to be Rey?
Honestly, that makes a ton of sense.
Is that a good? I think that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, just like if you just think of it from like an actor's perspective, like none of these like films aren't filmed in order, so it's not like you're reading lines that don't, like in one setup, and then you move to the next setup, and it could be a scene that's an hour away from the one that you just filmed. So you don't like, you have the script, the continuity, but when you film it, you're filming it out of order. This was Daisy's biggest job ever, and really her first time in a public spotlight. So it probably was just all a blur to her when she was filming these movies. I mean, you go from
10 years ago, they started the table read for TFA. Hamill just put that up.
10 years ago, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So like 2014 is the table read. The movie releases in 2015. And if you think about it, she's essentially on that project from 2014, early 2014, when she's cast and doing all the stuff
to 19
to, 2019, after her press tour finally ends for Tross. That was probably a mindfuck. Like, this girl is probably accurate in saying that she doesn't remember most of Rey's journey. And I don't like, who knows if she's gone back and watched the films recently. Like, I know a lot of actors don't go back and rewatch, but I mean, it makes total sense to me that it would be kind of like a blur to her, because it was her first real experience in the spotlight, being the star of what you could argue is one of the biggest film franchises on the planet.
I'd say it may take the title, honestly, buddy. I mean, I think it's probably earned that considering all the entries in its film lineup. Listen, like I said, I dig it because I don't want someone coming back in their role and trying to redo it as they did many years ago. And knowing the minimal things we know about what this movie could be about, Rey should be a completely different person. She should be way more strong, way more confident, way more kind of set in her ways, probably a little more sage, more of a master type than a knight. And I know I didn't directly answer League's question. I honestly don't think we're going to get anything meaty on May the 4th. I think it's going to be low-hanging fruit type of shit. I think they're saving the beef for Celebration Japan. That's or if there's a D23 over the summer. I honestly think May the 4th. I'm not gonna lie, Nick, and we've kind of been hinting at this for years. I'm over May the 4th already. It was fun for the first few years when
it has now turned into like a buy this holiday.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's the next Hallmark. It is a Hallmark holiday now. I don't like it. I mean, listen, our fucking tagline is there's always time for Star Wars time, and that's no bullshit. I mean, yeah, it's cute because it meets the name of the show, but I literally always am May the 4th-ing. It is my life. I mean, look, I've got fucking problems. I spend a lot of time thinking about Star Wars and creating Star Wars content. So I don't need a special week to spend money to celebrate my fandom and all this other happy horse shit.
Yeah, I would make May the 4th the one day of the
year
where you're
holiday,
like, I'm not buying Star Wars stuff. Like today is the day that I'm not buying anything.
Well, yeah, I am angry that they're releasing Tales of the Empire on May the 4th, a Saturday. That's my fucking holy day. Okay, if you know me, Saturday is holier to me than Sunday. I am not a Jewish person. It's an important day for Matt's mental health. I need Saturday to just kind of fucking decompress.
Yeah.
And that does not mean watching new Star Wars, because unlike the rest of you who can just watch Star Wars and be happy, I need to watch it and analyze it. That's not necessarily a fun thing to do on the weekend. So I do think I'm going to watch them just because I'll be in a fun state of mind for it. But I don't know. Like, if I feel like, I got to start taking notes.
Like, don't do any of that.
I just might save it for, Sunday night or something like that, and then do all my breakdowns on Monday. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, Devin here, new Acolyte trailer. I mean, here's what I expect out of May the 4th. I expect obviously the drop of Tales of the Empire, that's coming. I expect an Acolyte trailer. I expect an Andor trailer, probably, or some sort of Andor teaser for season 2. And then I expect, if there is something that they're planning for, another animated series, maybe we get a tease of that.
Yeah, I see. I'm even less than you. I don't think Acolyte gets another full trailer. It's going to be just like the Bad Batch, where you got one trailer, you might get some TV spots. To our members, I shared the it was a Korean trailer for the Acolyte that featured Nemoidians are going to be in it, Nick. The Trade Federation. Okay. Everyone's wondering if they're going to have the Pacific or the Asian accent. That
will be interesting, because there was
what that was high.
Yeah, so that will be interesting. Shout out again to Be Mad with the $4.99 drop.
That's
correction.
Right.
There's always time for the Star Wars time show.
That's right. But there's also always time for Star Wars. We don't need May the fucking 4th. But for our dudes over at 2797 Studios, they are having a May the 4th sale. So they're fully taking advantage of the buying frenzy. Check them out. Support small businesses. So anyways, there will not be an Acolyte trailer because they are using that in front of the Phantom Menace, Nick. So we can talk about that right now because that has leaked. The Acolyte footage that is attached to the Phantom Menace is out on the internet. It's some asshole with their phone in a theater. So quality-wise, not the best, but I will tell you, it's fucking awesome. It's pretty much the full scene that we saw in the trailer of May v. Trinity. And yes, I'm stuck on Trinity. That's just what she's going to be for now. I will call her a proper name when we are in season. But it fleshes out that scene and ends more or less when Indara pulls out her green blade, and it seems like she's done playing with May. Nick, we did get some very revealing dialogue from this real quick. Okay. I know I wrote it down. Both lines were spoken by Indara herself. What the fuck? Hold on a second here. I know I got it on a note somewhere. It was something like, "Who trained you?" Yeah, here we go. Okay, so the way the clip starts out, if people need a link, I've got it up on the site right now. I guess I could hit play and just let it run, see if it still works. I'll just let that, I'll kind of skip into it for you all. If you're on the stream right now, you can check that out. Although this will probably get us fired, so probably shouldn't let it play for too long. But it shows, it's the full scene. May walks into that bar, and unbeknownst to us, she's actually just kicking the shit out of everybody. She actually, unlike the trailer shows, she's not there just for Indara. In fact, Indara ends up stepping in after May is just beating the living piss out of patrons at the bar. And once they get going, Indara realizes, like, okay, this is a Force user. So she says, "Who trained you?" And then as the fight's progressing and Indara needs to get a little more aggressive, she calls to, I'm assuming, the temple or somebody, another Jedi, and says, "Hey, I have an unidentified Force user." So I thought that was pretty eye-opening, Nick, because we just kind of assumed that Indara just may instantly recognize May just from May being a Padawan at the temple, and they might have crossed paths, but she didn't. She doesn't recognize her. She doesn't remember who her master was, but she for damn sure knows that this person that looks like an assassin can use the Force, and she is kicking the shit out of people in a bar. It's been playing this whole time. If you're on the live stream, it looks like dude, everything you thought, like the Crouching Tiger flow, it's all there. I mean, it's wushu as fuck. Carrie Ann is brilliant, majestic. The action just flows. I mean, it's like a ballet. There's some great Jedi shit going on there. Like right there, Trinity, she ran up did like some parkour to get up to another level. I don't know. It's just great. Saves a lady with the Force who May just tried to push off a balcony. I'm fucking jacked for this. I'm glad I got to see this leak because now I don't feel so compelled to go see The Phantom Menace, although I kind of want to. It's my favorite prequel. I do love it. But this scene we got for the Acolyte choice, this is all I need. I mean, all I needed was a trailer, but this confirms to me that I think we're in for some damn good Star Wars come June 4.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited for it for sure. I think that this is going to be a really cool era of Star Wars to explore. And yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it yet. I'm kind of looking at it sideways from the from the video as well.
Oh, that's
but
how
yeah,
I watch.
mean,
That's really the only way to watch it, Nick, unless you watch it on a phone and turn it. But yeah. It was good. Like I said, promising. The action I really think looked very, very, very good. Very good. And definitely unique for Star Wars, which is appreciated because again, we are in a unique era, a unique timeline with the Acolyte. There's still a lot of hate with it, Nick, and fuck them. You know, if you want to cut off your nose to spite your face, have at it. We're going to enjoy it. We're going to be watching the double drop Tuesday night, June the 4th, and our happy asses will be breaking it all down that following Wednesday right here, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show.
There we go.
All right. Yeah. So check that out. All y'all want the link. You might as well. I kept it member only for our YouTube community. And then in Discord, depending on what tier you are, you also get a private channel where you'll get secret little insights like this. But since it's been out for a while now, here you go. It's in the live stream chat, just in case you want to check it out. Although it's not going to let me send the links because YouTube hates links that aren't YouTube. So I think I put the
Reddit link in there already. Okay, good. So maybe that'll cover it.
All right.
But yeah.
Good stuff. All right, man. Bad Batch series finale time.
Series finale.
Well, we got one of our wishes. It was a decent runtime, I think. Okay, it clocked in at 51 on the screen, so it was probably about 46 minutes of content or so. We did get, I guess, a quasi epilogue for the Imperial side, and then a legit epilogue for the good guys. We already started to get into a little bit, so I'll just go ahead and let you do your cursory review of the finale. And I'll go, and then we can get into top moments, eggs, all that fun type of stuff. So
yeah,
lay it on me, brother. What'd you think of that finale? Was it too soft, too safe, too clean, just right?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with the take that it was a little too, like, for me. Overall, I thought the episode was decent. I thought it was good. But to me, it felt like checking boxes. They were just like, okay, we got to take care of this, check. We got to take care of this, check. We got to take care of this, check.
They skipped a lot of those boxes too, brother.
They skipped a lot of them. They skipped a lot. And that was something that obviously I'm knowing or having a very strong feeling that this is the end of this clone era, like we were saying earlier in the show. It is a bit upsetting that some of those boxes were not ticked. And it's also a little weird that some of the boxes that got checked off were just like, we'll just put a check there to put a check there, specifically around the Clone X units. I felt like that was a missed opportunity.
I think the Clone X theories might be worse than Marok. I mean, that's how hardcore we all went on that, and it was just like Marok, nothing.
Yeah, it was a big nothing burger.
I have dubbed them, Nick, and because I am such a crafty motherfucker, they are the bad batch. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you, everyone.
like I couldn't even tell if that's what they were going for. Is like this is the evil version of the Batch. I know that there were 4 of them, and like you could argue that maybe one of their helmets looked like Tech, the guy who had the 2 swords.
It wasn't. I know what you mean. It wasn't necessarily that they were going to be identical, but if you notice, each one had specific skill sets like Clone Force 99 did. There was a sniper, there was a close quarter combat, there was kind of the tank guy, there was the explosive. So I've got the image of them where it's all 4 of them. They do look fucking cool. I'm not going to lie. I love that they had, varied armor sets, different different helmets, different weapons. But yeah, in the end, it was just the bad Batch. That was it. It was just other clones that Hemlock was able to condition. Not Cody, not clones of the Clone Force, just other clones.
Yeah, just other clones. So, I mean, you could put a check there. It was a relatively unsatisfying check because, like, after what I would consider like some build up, I mean, like the one clone was like, you're the killer guy. A
ton of build up, dude. I mean,
yeah.
CX2 became like an internet celebrity. Like I said, it really approached the levels of Maroc in terms of fan speculation.
Yeah. And then they literally just get dispatched as if they were nothing.
By regs who have been locked up.
By like
I know the Batch helps take them out. I mean, Hunter pierced CX2 through the chest.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think the regs got the others.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was relatively disappointing. So here's the boxes that they really, I feel like, put effort into checking off. They checked off the Zillow Beast. That was obviously very early in the episode. I kind of matched our speculation. We're like, look, this thing's going to break out. Right. Omega's going to do it. It's going to destroy the Hemlock. Boom. Didn't hit that part. They checked off the box of Mount Tantus being like decommissioned and all of Project Necromancer being essentially lost. As far as we know, we don't know if there was some sort of backup system that was on Exegol or whatever. Like, we don't know how the little information from Project Necromancer that survived got to Exegol, because we know at least some did. And you could say that they checked the box on what happened to the clones, even though that what happened to the clones box was literally what you tell a child when a dog dies. They went to an island and they live happily ever after.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is the end of the clones is, well, they're all on Pabu and they live happily ever after.
Yeah, that or Pantora, because I do believe Echo said that's, I don't know if that's where Rex is at, or she's like, Tucci or Uchi or Coochie.
Chuchi, Senator Chuchi is on Pantora. Yeah, those are the 3 boxes that I feel like they put at least some effort into closing. The others, the Clone X stuff was obviously, I don't know if it was always planned to be like a build up to a nothing or what.
You know what? Hold on, man. Let me pull up this screen. I think I included it. When he first goes and opens their tanks, you get a behind the back shot of CX2, and the motherfucker is bald as Crosshair.
Yeah, I would say it looks like, when I saw it, I was like, okay, well, it is going to be like Batch V2 or something like that.
Before you continue on with the review, do you think that might have been a thing and they just decided, you know what, it's really not that important to the finale, we're cutting it?
I think it might have been. I really do. Right. I really do think that there was some intention behind these characters that just they cut either because of time or because of whatever, but I feel like there was intention behind them, and then that intention was abandoned. So overall, I would say that like the finale was okay. Like it did what it needed to do. I feel like Emery was another missed opportunity where she was essentially like just drug along, and she's like, well, I was trying to help. Emery's character was another one that like
nothing. She's like, who gives a shit now? I mean, no relevance to her backstory. Why was she a female clone? Where are there other female clones? Why did Nala say get rid of her? No, who gives a fuck, right? That's where we're at. Me.
Like Rampart again, I feel like was complete. Like, if this is the reason that they brought him back, then like what a waste.
I do.
Like,
I mean, I think it was.
Like, what is he trying to do ultimately?
Well,
is he trying to get back into Imperial good grace? He's like, what? Like, I just don't understand it.
He thought if he could secure the Project Necromancer data, he could use it as a bargaining chip. Yes, I think he even says that. Honestly, Nick, in the end, I think the only reason he was ultimately brought back was so Nala Se could get revenge for the Kaminoan people. That's it. She took out the guy that took out her planet and her race. Yeah, so I guess narrative justice.
Yeah, I guess that does it. But I still feel like the inclusion of Rampart in this series was just absurd. Like I just don't understand. Other than that, like why he was here. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it did what it needed to do, and I really do feel like, and I said this in either the last episode or the one that was leading up to the penultimate, it really does feel like the third season of this show was literally just get it done. Just get it done and end it so we can move on. Like,
I'm starting to feel that too, Nick. It was almost as if they were never told how many seasons they were have until the third season showed up, and they're like, "Oh shit, okay."
Yeah, they were like, "This is the last one," and everybody was like,
"Yeah, well, we'll have them try to find Tantus, but they'll find Omega, and then they need to keep finding Tantus until they get there, and then happy ending."
Yeah. Also, here's like a legitimate question in my mind. What's the fucking title about? Like, this is called The Cavalry Has Arrived.
I guess the fact that
nobody came.
Nick, the fact that Clone Force 99 got their asses kicked, that they had to be wheeled into Tantus base on carts.
Dude, like, I really don't know.
I think, was that the cavalry when they were being pushed around on pallet movers?
Yeah, like, was the cavalry the Zillow beast? Like,
was the cavalry Omega and the kids?
Yeah, like I really don't know.
They did more than Clone Force 99. They completely fucking destroyed the base.
Yeah, like if anybody was the heroes of it, then it was obviously all of the kids. Like you said, they freed the Zillow beast and they caused the most amount of destruction. All the batch did was get fucked up and captured. Like, but like legitimately, I have questions about why this is the title of this episode, because at a certain point, like somebody was like, "Oh, well, I'll go to the radio tower and call Rex and get the cat."
And they're like, "No, don't do that. That'd be too much help."
Like, oh, well, and I wonder if there is an alternate version of this episode where that happens. Like, if they felt like, well, we want this to only be about the batch and the batch alone. Wow. I was like, like the title makes no sense.
I love this thread. It is great because you do think about it, you're like, they arrived on push carts half dead. Like that. That's how they showed up. Literally, they showed up half dead.
And it ain't the clone. Like how many clones did we see them get? 9? They freed 9 clones.
Well, like, you have to assume there's more levels, but yeah, directly we only saw one level, and then most of them got gassed out.
Yeah. So like
fighting the bad badge.
I really would have enjoyed seeing, like, even if it was just like flashes of like the other levels with all of the other clones, like causing chaos, and like, because that's what we were led to believe was going to happen, right? Like, they're going to get there.
Zillow Beast took care of that shit.
Yeah, like they're gonna, like, I thought it was gonna be like, hey, we're gonna get to Tantus. Obviously, we have to rescue Omega, but our secondary objective is like freeing all of these clones that are trapped here, being tested and experimented on. Like, and we didn't get to see any of that. Like, like you said, we got to see the 9 clones who got out and fought against the CX units, and that was it. Like, we didn't even get to see like a montage of all of the other clones escaping or like causing chaos and havoc. Nothing. Like, we got none of it.
Yep.
So
no like, Order 99, that's for sure.
Yeah. Like I
look, the bat's got a good one here, Nick, for you. Release the Snyder Cut. Yeah. Bring it out. Bring the cavalry. We want to see it. And not half dead clones on push cards.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great point you bring up. Yeah.
I just
like, if it's not for Echo and Omega, this thing goes tits up.
Oh yeah, 100%. They were the only two useful people in this episode up until the very end.
And they technically aren't even true Clone Force 99 members.
No. So yeah, I mean, while it did achieve the goals that it was supposed to, which was like destroy Mount Tantus, somehow do something with the Zillow Beast, which is what they did. They did something with it.
And then it just like, fuck it, I'm going to hang out in the woods.
It literally like busts out the facility and then just leaves.
Yeah.
And then the other one was in some way address the clones. And like I said,
oh man,
as like it is like, think about that. Think about how the clone story ends. They are on an island and it ends happily ever after. Mm-hmm. That is it.
Yeah.
That is it. That is literally what I was told as a kid when my rabbit died.
Right.
Like,
hey Nick,
like
your rabbit's on an island in Star Wars.
Yeah. My parents are like, oh yeah, like he went to a farm with a bunch of other rabbits.
Yeah, that farm.
And like that is how the clone story is on an island, happily ever after. Like, how unsatisfying is that? Yeah. As for the epilogue, you know, we were under the impression that all of the 99ers were probably going to die. Obviously, didn't happen. Star Wars is now averse to killing any characters, which is crazy.
Yo, R.I.P. Tag, bro. Thanks for dying and staying dead.
Yeah, the one guy. But like, I see value in the epilogue given how it ends. You know, given that they are still around. But like the fact that like, all right, there is an active war going on in the galaxy that you guys helped start. They're not even going to participate in it. Like they're just like, fuck it. Like let Omega handle it.
Or because the epilogue covered so much time, we just don't know and we never will.
Yeah, we have no idea. Like it literally covered, what do you say, 15 years of time?
I was saying in Discord, Nick, the fact that she spoke of an open Rebel alliance, we are past Andor season 1. We're probably somewhere in the Andor season 2, if not leading up to. I would say 2 to 3 BBY.
Yeah, so like we're fucking pretty far in.
At least 10 years from the end of Bad Batch.
And it's to the point now to where like
more than 10.
They're totally uninterested in being involved at all.
Uh-huh.
And it's just,
well, I guess like he said at the end, Nick, he's like, "Hey, we're all free now to make our own choice." And they're like, "Yeah, we've been fighting too long. We are done."
Yeah, I mean, but I get like it's just, I can see the interpersonal dynamic of it being very emotional, especially if you are like a father, you have family.
It just kills me.
From a narrative standpoint, you have literally just shoved them on an island to be forgotten about. And it just seems like such a weird way to end the clone era. But that's how it ends, you know?
Well, one of their own is going to, as she said, like, hey, no, this is my fight, motherfucker. You fought your fight. This is my fight. So she is honoring the clone mentality just a few decades late.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm very interested to see what they do with Omega. And if there is a future for this character.
Hey, she's good looking, right? She aged pretty well.
Yeah,
I think she's at least 18. I can say that now, right? She's at least 18.
But I guess the biggest thing for me was that like the clone era, which was the linchpin of storytelling for your prequel timeline after the movies, is now over and their story ends on an island happily ever after. I just can't get over that. Like that's such a fucking weird way to close that out.
I'll go to the last shot for you, which is literally Pabu and the moon, bro. It's like it is funny that we've come full circle to one of the worst Bad Batch episodes, literally titled Pabu. It ends on Pabu and Nick's just dumbfounded. He's like, what the fuck?
And here's the thing too. It's not like the Empire doesn't. The Empire raided this.
Let me address this because I see this point coming up in the chat here, and I do have an explanation for this that should make a little sense, even though it is weird. You got to remember, it was Hemlock's forces that found them, and Hemlock's shit was all quarantined to Tantus. So he would not be sharing that information with the Empire at large. So yes, it is still odd, but that's your explanation for why Pabu was left untouched.
So, yeah, I mean, overall, I think I agree with Bat's assessment of the Bad Batch season rankings. I do think it's like 1 is the best, and then it just gets progressively worse. It goes 1, 2, 3.
I can't say worse, but maybe not as entertaining or as meaty.
I will say that I think that season 2 ending was the best ending of the 3 of them, with Tech death, and then obviously question marks surrounding everything. After Omega's capture.
It was actually, Nick, it was the last 2 episodes because Tech died penultimate, and then we had the cliffhanger at the end. And I think season 2 ended on a bang. No doubt.
I think that was the best ending. But if I'm going to be honest with you, this is something that League said in our chat, maybe last episode, maybe episode before that. But she said she doesn't know why this show is a spinoff, and why you didn't just tell this storyline with characters that we already knew. Even if you incorporate Omega, like, I think that Omega is really the main character of this series. Like the Batchers, you know, like they're there for color, they're there for entertainment, but I don't know why they chose to make a new series off of it. Like, I don't know why. Like, they definitely made the decision to be like, hey, season 7 of Clone Wars is the end of it, and there's no way for us to continue it because of how that ended. But I do think that it would have been better if it would have just, like, if we would have had a similar storyline with characters that were already important to us. And like the Batch kind of grew to be important characters, but I do think that there would have been more eyes on this show, and there would have been more interest in this show if it was a Clone Wars property and wasn't its own
probably
thing.
That also would have been tired too. I mean, you know, same old. I love Clone Force 99. I think they're solid Star Wars characters. I'm glad we got to meet them. I guess I'll just go into my assessment here. Honestly, I'm not going to spin too much more thread than Nick did. I'm pretty in line with him outside on the epilogue. Like, listen, I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was fun to watch. It was good Star Wars, but just full of unchecked boxes. And as I break down in my more detailed review, I think it's more of a problem for super fans. Okay, we're the ones that worry about the nuance, when in the end, the main story was told. So they did accomplish that. I can't say the show or the series stuck the landing because of being a super fan and knowing that we had these threads open, like Dr. Carr, what happens to Echo. Ultimately, why did Nala Se make Omega the way she made her? I thought that would at least been something to touch on.
Yeah, like no explanation on that at all.
Dick shit. So that stuff bothered me, but like I said, I tried to take myself out of super fan Matt mode and just watch it through the lens of a casual fan, someone like my mom or my wife. And I was like, yeah, this is going to go over pretty well. I think so. I think people, as much as we want loss and tragedy, when it comes down to it, as long as they feel tense, I think because we all figured they were going to die, we got that feeling of suspense and tension throughout the episode, wondering when it was going to happen. Then when it didn't, you might have been a little disappointed, but in the end, you're like, all right, whatever. It still kind of worked. I did feel like there were real stakes. I was surprised that I didn't have as many emotional reactions as I did, which is a result of kind of leaving some of the check boxes unchecked. But I will tell you, there was 2 moments in particular we'll go into deeper. Obviously, the epilogue, just like literally at the core of my soul, scooped some out and threw it on the floor. Just because I know this is something I'm going to have to do one day. And I can already feel it. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to want to talk about it. That's how triggering it is right now for me. It's just too real. Watching this guy say goodbye to his daughter. It fucked me up in a great way. The other one was the bridge moment where, Crosshair finally comes through, redemption complete, and she runs and hugs him first over Hunter. I was like, ooh. But I was expecting to have more of those feels through character deaths, which, we didn't get. as Nick said, it is kind of silly. And I kind of put that in my review. It's like, yeah, these freedom fighters, Dudley Do-Writers, just decided to retire. And hey, we're just going to have to accept that, because I do not think there's room to tell more stories during this era from a clone perspective. But I'll tell you what, if I can get moved the way I was moved at the end of this, I ultimately am coming away pleased, because as I said, I don't even like thinking about it. I know it's silly, it's just a cartoon, but it's too real for me. It's too real. All right. So speaking of those top moments, I may have to let Nick kind of handle that one. I know I'm not going to be able to do it. Here we go. Jesus, how unprofessional. Okay, so the first top moment, honestly, and we just made fun of it, but I think that's why it was a top moment. But I loved when the Bad Batch finally got to the base and then just proceeded to get the shit kicked out of them by the Bad Batch. It was like,
straight up.
It was a cool looking scene. It was fast. It was frenetic. I like the, kind of the orange hue, the lighting from the destroyed hangar there. You got the full reveals of the Bad Batch. And hey, listen, even though they weren't anything more than just shithead clones, they, Hemlock was one hell of a armor designer, if anything. They did look badass. They had obviously great coordination, great battlefield skills. They took care of them in the matter of seconds. I mean, it wasn't even a fight. I think Wrecker was on his back with an electro pole in him within 2 seconds. Hunter got blasted under a door, and then Crosshair gets knocked over and his hand fucking cut off. So
yeah,
you gotta love that Crosshair was the one in this Star Wars property to lose his hand, which signals he is now a true Star Wars hero.
Yeah, he's a Star Wars main hero now.
So that was a nice touch. I really like that scene, and it's even better now because of young Nick's assessment in bringing up the fact that, like, how the fuck is this the cavalry when they literally almost get dead? And they end up getting wheeled into the base on carts. So,
maybe that was a title maybe that was like a working title that they forgot to change.
Nick, it's Nova brought it up. It's a complete callback to the Clone Wars, because when Clone Force 99 would show up, the cavalry has arrived. That's what they would say. I believe Wrecker's the one that says it himself. So
I like how they put dumbass deep cuts like that in the fucking title, but they don't pay any attention to details in their storytelling in the show. Like if you would have added, like, this is the last, this may be the last rant that I go on, but I think that Jennifer and Brad need a break from animated, because they need to work on something else, because the little shit that we're talking about that's not in this episode is what makes these series. Like, it's what makes the universe interesting, and it's what makes the character dynamics, like, it makes you want to invest in them. And by leaving out little details, or by leaving threads unclosed, or by dismissing things that would make sense in terms of like story building and character development, you're reducing the effectiveness of your storytelling, and it's only gotten worse. It's gotten worse every season. And while they may have some cachet left over from previous things that they've done, this series has ultimately shown their quality of work go down consistently.
Hey, you got to punch up to Filoni, man. His name's on this shit too. He's also chief creative motherfucker too.
And look, I don't know what his level of involvement was with this.
Oh, I believe he's like series creator Dave Filoni.
Like he's the first title card that comes up there, and he should take some of the blame too. And I really do feel like he is put in a position now to where all of it's going to filter back to him, but he's spread too thin to give any amount of attention to a project like this. Because
I'm available. Really I know Nick's looking for work. Go on his LinkedIn.
But I really do feel like they really just left this show to die. Like they really left it to be like, just fucking close it out so we can move on and work on something that we're more interested in.
I wouldn't blame that on the creatives. I'm going to blame that on the Igers and the money spenders. That's.
But even like, but as a writer, you have a 50-minute long episode. You can take 45 seconds to add context to something. Okay. You can take a minute to build like the character personas of the CX squadron, to be like, I have built these as your exact opposers, and add more weight to that. Like, there were just things that were missed or not done, either intentionally or not intentionally, that is just bad storytelling. And that's what I always like. The only thing I ever complain about in Star Wars is bad storytelling. I don't complain about people. I don't complain about any of that other shit. I complain about bad storytelling. And
well, why would you do that, Nick? That's not going to get us any clicks.
Yeah.
Start complaining about people's skin color and what parts they have.
Exactly. But yeah, I really do feel like their quality of storytelling has gotten progressively worse over this entire series.
Fair enough. I really can't challenge that. Outside, I will say the one thing I think they did a fantastic job on, obviously, was developing the bond between Omega and her dad brothers. Because I don't think I would feel the way I feel. I know Bat is right. I am doing a lot of self-projecting into that epilogue. But anything I've read about this episode, most people agree that epilogue was like a heart ripper outer type of moment, especially if you're a parent, especially if you're a dad girl. So I think they did that well, but I can't really disagree with you on your other points on terms of how this franchise ended, which is a shame, because I think this is one of the more exciting eras in Star Wars, because it's the ass end of the prequels and it's the beginning of the OT. I loved what we saw in Andor with that type of stuff, Kenobi with that type of stuff, and this was supposed to be the kind of the source of where a lot of that stuff could spring out of. And here we are 3 seasons later and it's over, and clones, we now learn, just kind of went and hung out on Pabu or Pantora. And the clone girl, who for whatever reason was made to be able to accept Force jizz, has joined the Rebel Alliance as a pilot.
Yeah, like that is what I'm saying, is like, it doesn't take, you don't need another episode. You don't need another, over 50 minute. Like, all you needed to do was tell your story better over your final season, and they didn't do it. Like, there were so many opportunities that were missed. There were episodes that were completely taken off, that were just like, why is this an episode when we know this is the last season? When you could have taken this time to expand on the stuff that is actually interesting, to close out story threads, to bring them closer to a conclusion. But no, we got a whole episode where fucking Asajj Ventress just shows up on Pabu and beats up the Batch and doesn't tell them anything. Like, we had 25 minutes of storytelling thrown down the drain for something that we don't even know exists yet. And like, that's the disappointing part. It's you wasted time. It's not that you didn't have enough time, is that you had time and you threw it away. And that's ultimately just like, all right, it's really upsetting.
Hey, he's the flamethrower these days. I'm here trying to bring the positivity with top moments. Nick wanted to whip that thing out one more time and turn it up to 10,000 BTU. That is his right. But I'm going to get back to a moment I thought was good. Oh, I love it, Nicky. All right, next top moment. Legit, I like I said, I think this was a great moment on many levels, and it was the showdown with Hemlock on the bridge. I loved all the nuance to it. Like I said, it kind of paid off on the season-long shit with Crosshair and his distrust in himself and his fucked up hand. He goes left-handed, and, through the trust that Hunter and Omega had in him, he finally realized, you know what? I'm not a piece of shit. I am redeemed. I am one armed Crosshair. Hear me roar. And he does the thing. I love that moment for him. But like I said, more importantly, we got a good death for Hemlock, even though he did the Palpatine fall. So there's a good chance he will show up on Exegol at some point in time in a tank, right? We saw him fall to his death. It also, resolved the Scorch thing. At least you got that, right? Scorch got. He got, a triple tap to the chest. So there was that, but really the heavy hitter here again I did like the level of violence in this episode. I mean, they did no more fucking stun guns.
They didn't pull punches.
They were doing chest taps and one to the head. I don't know if you noticed that, but everyone kind of got a little head tickle in this episode. I believe they shot Hemlock about 600 times, which was great. He's just like, and then he falls off, and his essence, like I said, got sucked over to an urn over on Palpatine's desk. But really, the moment here is when Omega runs over, and you kind of think like, hey, you know, Hunter's always been kind of the de facto dad. No, she goes to the guy that she has been working with all season long, has believed in, has told him he's not a piece of shit. And I really, Nick, I think for the first time, Hunter finally understood what Omega was for them as a family, as a team, and just for him personally. It was a very touching moment. And then, of course, you get the hug with both bros. It was just, I don't know. It was honestly towards the end of the episode. It's the first time I had some feels, which I was, you know, a little disappointed. I was really, I mean, if you look at the title of this stream when I put it up on Monday, it's like therapy session. I thought it was going to be rough. You know, we would have to be sitting here holding people's hands about named clones going down with honor, of course. But no, it was just one scene that wrecks me because all I can see is what's going to happen to me literally 10 years from now when my daughter may want to leave me. And I hate it. So there's that. And speaking of that scene, I guess I need to get to it because it started on Pabu when the two were just kind of sitting there recapping the shit, pissing Nick the fuck off when Hunter's just like, yeah, hey, listen, we're free now. We've been bred into war. Echo and Carr hit on it like, hey, we've never even been able to be kids. We're just going to live life. And, you know, I kind of got him like, yeah, I get it. I know all us fans, we want them to kind of put the helmets back on and start shooting shit, but they're like, enough's enough. We're just going to chill and kind of be people. And, you know, you have that nice resolution where they all come to the tree. She's got her head on main dad's arm. The other two are sitting there, and of course, Batcher. And it ends, and then it bleeds into the epilogue, where at first, I'm not gonna lie, that back shot is like, is that fucking Fee? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no. We've advanced in time. This is adult Omega, and she looks awesome. I love the just the little nuances they put on there. Hopefully everyone noticed she had the Clone Force 99 skull on her shoulder. She had Hunter's bandana as her hair tie. I was trying to place the jacket. It is what it is. Custom made. Pabu fine designs, if you will. And, as I've kind of hinted, I absolutely fell in love with this scene. Because it reminded me of what I may be doing or what I hope to be doing. I hope that I can have a conversation with my teen daughter and let her know, like, hey, look, I don't want you to do this, but I know you have to. And it just, like I said, I mean, I can't do it. I can't do it. And that should show you enough how good this scene was for me. There you go. Top moment. Sorry. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. Yeah, it's real. I mean, it's real shit from Star Wars, and I appreciate it. So I'll leave it at that. Yeah, the line, you're our kid, Omega, you always will be. Woo! Don't ever have children, people. Don't ever have children. All right. Talk a little bit, Nick, about something so I can kind of recover, and we'll do the eggs here in a second. Make fun of me, something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, like at the end, it was a nice little homage to the bond that they built over the time that they were together. I guess, like, I mean, maybe I didn't remember it right. Like, I do find it weird that nobody else was there. It would have been nice. Wasn't there? Wrecker wasn't there. And the thing is like, before this last season, the bond that was the most, like, the strongest was between Omega and Wrecker. And
it's actually, if you go back to season 1, this is where the Hunter stuff kicks in. it made sense to me why he would be her last touch point and why he would be the one there. Because you got to remember, she was trying to sneak out. That's why the other two weren't there. She was trying to leave without saying goodbye. But he said, hey, even in my, decrepit state, I still can sense some things. So, he knew this was going to happen. So that's my explainer for why the other dudes wasn't there. She was sparing them of the pain that she was about to put Hunter through. Look at the way they animated him. They made him even look a little bit like a Jesus. He's got that nice new ponytail. Just the sadness in his face as he's realizing, like, hey, I don't have a choice here. Like she has grown beyond me, and I got to let her go. And it was fuck.
Here's a question. What is Hunter's fucking special ability?
He's he's a tracker, but he's almost like a dog. Like he can smell and see better than other clones.
See, I think like that was another thing that I was thinking towards the end of this. It was like, okay, Bad Batch 99 or the Bad Batch, they are supposed to be special clones, like special people. And for the other three, it's very obvious, but I feel like they never really leaned into Hunter's thing. Hunter's thing was always like, I'm the leader, but he just didn't feel like any different than Rex to me. Like him,
go back to the Clone Wars episode where they're introduced. They really use him kind of like a hound dog almost. That's kind of what he is. He's like, hey, go sniff out the scent and find it, boy. That was his deal. Then obviously Crosshair was the marksman, Tech was the tech guy, Wrecker was the meatball, the muscle.
Yeah. So. I feel like Hunter's identity got lost. I feel like they did not do a good job of keeping up with that through this series.
You're not wrong, because he actually started to he almost started to care too much. I mean, he used to be, like you said, military leader, but especially towards the end of the season, really even these last few episodes, he started to get a little chaotic. When he made the choice, like, fuck it, I'm just going. Even if Echo doesn't disable those sensors, we're going. Like, I can't let this opportunity go. So he did start to almost kind of cut loose of his rigidity that he had as a military person.
Yeah, but even like the tracking, like the fact that you brought up tracking, I had no fucking clue that was his thing. Like it was used so infrequently that like I didn't even remember what it was.
You'll see it. Like if it's not something you're paying attention to, if you on pretty much every mission he's on, you'll see him kind of pick up the trail first.
Gotcha. Yep. Okay. Yeah, that one, like, because all the other ones, they their specialty was very pronounced. Right. Like Tech,
and he had a permanent face tattoo that made it look like he had camouflage.
I feel like that was just his thing. He's like, he's the one with the face tattoo and the Rambo scar.
He's John Rambo clone.
Yeah. So that was my last question. Is just like, I totally forgot what he was supposed to be. Like the other ones were very obvious, but his was very
leader and master tracker is what we'll leave it at there.
There we go. And
now, girl dad is his ultimate role here.
Yeah. Father.
All right. I'm good. I'm back, people. You're right, be mad. The onions were cut, but hey, listen, I'm never going to feel bad about having emotions for my kids, so everyone can go fuck off. That's what's called being a real man, people. Get over it.
I don't know if anybody was criticizing you for it.
Someone just said I'm cutting onions, so.
Yeah, but that's just like an observation, not necessarily a criticism.
Oh, don't worry. I'm sure people will make fun of me. It's all right. Listen, my generation, it's just, you don't do this shit, but I'm breaking free of that mindset. You know what? Let's do some eggs and references, because you know what? We got some sort of fun ones here to talk about. Starting with Echo breaking out, and this is another thing most people probably didn't remember, but even though they were Clone Force 99, their inter-squad designations were Havoc 1 through 5. So when he and Omega decide to go on the mission, he's like, Havoc 5, you ready? Basically, you ready to go? Yeah, Havoc 5 standing by. So that was kind of cool. And really, let's be real here. And I know we said it before. Echo is probably the number one all-star here. And, and then
100%.
Omega. They're pretty much on the same level. I mean, they literally meet up I mean, he's chasing Omega as she is escaping and fucking the base up. He's like, oh yeah, that's her. I would do the same thing. They meet up and instead of like, no, go with the kids, he's like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. You gotta love the guy. I think Echo, even though he's not, tried and true traditional Clone Force 99, he probably was the most impressive. That regular arc training with the Techno Union cyborg upgrades, unbeatable tech.
Yeah.
I'm probably, hear me out here, Nick. I'm probably more upset that we didn't learn Echo's fate over learning that the Bad Batch just chilled on Pabu.
Yeah, I mean, Echo doesn't even show up in Rebels.
No.
So Echo's
and let's be real, Rex was way tighter with fucking Echo than Gregor and Wolf.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I mean, Echo's out there still. Who knows? He's on Pantora, just bopping around,
hanging out. And I guess we're getting close to Haas, and as I'll bring this up now, and we'll kind of keep going with the eggs and references, but we shipping Echo and Emery here.
I mean, it kind of seems
Clone
like
babies. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't know. That's one thing that he
put her arm. Look at that. I mean, he's got her arm on her. He's like, "Hey, you want to go to Pantora with me, babe? Hang out. Do some clone rescue."
Maybe so. Maybe that's how the clone genome continues, is through Car and Echo.
Yeah, they come out like summer. Maybe they're the parents of Lobot. They shit out Lobot, and he already had that. He already had his head plan on.
Yeah, it was just built in.
I'm disturbed.
So,
yeah. Why am I shipping cartoon characters? But they did seem to kind of pair well. They were kind of the two little people on their mission until he's like, yo, you're useless. Go take the kids. Get the fuck out of here. I'm going to take a kid to go finish the fight. So
yeah.
But yeah, the more I've thought about throughout the day, I do think Echo's fate being left open is more egregious than just knowing the Bad Batch chilled on Pabu.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, fuck it. We're trying to keep this girl safe. We really can't be joining the Rebel Alliance with an asset that the Empire may still ultimately want one day. So I could get over that. Echo, though, come on. I mean, you went out of your way to resurrect him, to end the Clone Wars, then to kick into the Bad Batch. You could have at least let us know he retired too. Come on, just tell us he retired. Something.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. I mean, another unchecked box.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't even have to talk about Cody. Cody's been forgotten about completely.
It's like they're just like, fuck off, everyone. Even though he's the only one we introduced in live action, he's got, he had hot toys before everyone else. Fuck him. He's AWOL. He's a farmer somewhere. He's a spice farmer on Kessel. Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, but it's just like this series just has so many open questions, but yeah. So what do you have next?
Another nice little egg here. We finally got an ISD. And the best part was Tarkin is the motherfucker commanding it. So, he shows up in his brand new ship, first Star Destroyer we've seen in the Bad Batch show. They've always been Republic cruisers. And he's flanked by two Republic cruisers. So clearly here, governor of the budget was like,
first one off the line.
I get the first ship because I approve the expenditure. So it was good to see the Star Destroyer. Man, that is just a sexy ass ship. I love it. I know it's just a big fucking pizza wedge, but I love it. It really is way better looking than the Republic cruisers, even though they're almost identical.
I agree.
There's something with us Star Wars fans, OT people. The aesthetics of the Empire machinery is just unrivaled.
Yeah.
This is kind of a low one here, but Tarkin, when he's, bitching about money and yada yada, we get a twofer from him. First, he's talking to, Captain Bragg or Lieutenant Bragg. Lieutenant Bragg actually has been in 2 other episodes of The Bad Batch. She started in season 1 when we were on that planet with the kind of the Indian-looking senator. She's up there announcing like the arrival of the Empire and how great it is and chain codes this and that. She showed up again in season 2, and here she is in season 3. So we got a call back there. And then Homeboy, Mr. Pincher of the purse, was like, hey, Can we salvage anything here? Any of that data shithead was talking about? No, all destroyed.
Nope, all
all
gone.
right, shut it down. Move the budget line items over to Project Stardust, which we know to be the Death Star.
The Death
So
Star.
I'm sure Krennic it was quite happy to learn that Hemlock. Remember, Hemlock was there last year. Lost. And now all funding that was going to Necromancer, which we have to imagine was unlimited, is now going to go to Tarkin and become limited. So we'll see what he does with that money. Because clearly he gets all the cash now, Nick, but he still fucks around. It takes another 10, 15, 20 years to build the Death Star. So
yeah, it's going to take a while.
He's like, oh, we didn't hit the budget this month. Well, we can't install those fucking toilets on level 1,000. Just going to have to delay it. To next week. And, another delay. And finally, all the way up until right before the Battle of Yavin, it finally works.
Yeah.
And I already mentioned Omega wearing Hunter's bandana. The only other thing I want to see what some of you fans think here, if I was on to something. But if you look at the ship in that cave, her ship, I'd bet my ass that is the salvaged Marauder. Look at the lines, look at the cockpit. I really think this is what they were able to salvage from the full Marauder. You know how some ships can shoot out a shuttle like the Ghost did?
Yeah.
I kind of think that's what they're doing here. So I'm running with it. Yeah. I said it. Bats, no, from what I have studied, this was the first Star Destroyer in the Bad Batch. Gunships were landing in Republic. Those were still Republic cruisers above Pabu when they showed up and fucked it up. 100%. I may have said they're Star Destroyers because I'm dumb, but this is the first time we got the real ones. All right.
Do you think Omega actually made it as a Republic pilot or as a Rebel pilot? And if so, which squad do you think she joined?
Not Phoenix Squadron, not Red Squadron, not Yellow Squad, not Gold Squad, not Blue Squad. She joined the off-the-screen squad, never to be featured squad.
I was gonna say, do you think she was in Blue Squad because there was that one female pilot?
Well, didn't they all die on Scarif?
Yeah, they get trapped inside of the fucking of the
shield wall,
shield generator, and they all die.
Yeah.
So I'm like, where does she go?
Maybe
she ain't in any of them that we've ever seen. And the only one that we've ever seen a female pilot is Blue, right? And she gets killed.
Yeah, so who knows? Yeah, like I said, she's off screen all the time, wreaking havoc on the Empire, and that's why I do believe if she sees the light of day again, it would probably be live action Mandoverse. Maybe even Ahsoka season 2. She's part of the New Republic. You never know.
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, you'd think maybe her and Hera hit it off. Maybe her and Sabine. I'd imagine they're kind of around the same age. Actually, she's got 10 years on them.
She's older than Sabine.
Yeah, she's got 10 years on Luke, Leia, and Ezra because they were literally born Empire Day.
Yeah.
And that's right when I believe she was at least 10, if not 13 by then. If you think about it, she would have been 10 at the start of the Clone Wars and then was probably 13 at the end. So, I would anticipate, Nick, Omega in the epilogue is probably in her mid to late 20s.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like, okay, if we're going to jump at minimum 10 years, she was at least 14 or 15 by the end of this series, so she's probably in her mid-20s.
Yeah. Be Mad saying she's transport squad. 100% of their missions was extractions. That's her specialty.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was flying one of the pods in TLJ to take him down the crate.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
We'll see where she ends
up. All right,
up.
man, I got a bunch of ha's that I don't think we have even scratched yet. This one I love. Did anyone else notice how the logo was black and white for the first time to start the episode? I thought that was going to be some ominous foreshadowing, and it really was like, who died outside of bad guys? So.
Yeah, I would say like maybe in OG script 1 it was, and then they just forgot to change the colors.
Yeah, again, the Snyder cut. What else we got here? Yeah, you kind of touch on this. I'm like, Carr seems too good now. Seems pointless after all. And I was writing this as the episode went on, and sure enough, I just left it there because, she ultimately was pointless. Echo realizing Omega has learned from them all and released the Zillow. He kind of talked about that. You remember, he's like, hey, no. All of them did, actually. They're like, even the dudes in the Force are like, they're like Echo or Omega. And in unison, they're like, Omega! So that was kind of cool. How about, let me pull up the picture of this little guy, our little baby Jedi, Bairn, trying to get everyone fucked up there as they're releasing the Zillow. Oh, I don't know where it's at, but how about the fact that Bairn is soothed by utter chaos? You got to appreciate that. Like that's
all he's experienced in his life.
Yeah, he's sitting there giving away their position. Omega's trying to buy time, and sure enough, once the Zillow Beast comes out and starts committing mass trooper murder, it goes right to bed. It's like, hey, this is fantastic. The sound of blaster fire and screaming troopers, no problem. Put it on a sound machine.
Yeah.
I really loved Crosshair's line to the bros when he was trying to convince them that he needs to be the sacrificial lamb and to go call Rex, and he's like, listen, Clone Force 99 died with tech. And he's kind of right. So I thought that was just showing the growth on Crosshair's part, even though he was still trying to push the family away when in the end he needed them, which he learned on the bridge. So Nala Se, she is the true death of Necromancer, at least the reason it was delayed all the way into the Mandoverse era, never perfected. And Rampart, which was, as I said, some nice irony for him. The race he committed genocide against and stole all their technology. In the end, she ultimately got to blow him the fuck up after he thought he won. So while it was ridiculous that the Empire would ever keep someone like that alive, and I agree with young Nick, I kind of liked how they let Nala Se wrap up his thread. We definitely went into the Clone X plot being a nothing burger. Scorch was a nothing burger, just a bad guy making bad choices. No Rex save. We talked about that. I think the biggest thing about leaving, you could have kept Rex out of it, in my opinion, but leaving Wolf shit wide open, like why do you put the Gregor shit to bed and then you leave the Wolf stuff open? Like, you should at least pay off on existing canon. I get that you have flexibility when you don't have to pay off because it isn't existing canon, such as the fates of Echo, sadly, and the other members of Clone Force 99, but we know the fates of Rex, Gregor, and Wolf. Wolf was teased in this season. Why do you at least not pay off on that? That one's up there kind of with the Echo fate being left open. It's just like that one probably makes even less sense to me because, as I've said, we know where Wolf ends up. So why not just show the connection point?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's really questionable why they didn't, like, at least, like, maybe you don't even have to close them. Like, maybe you just address them, like, it's like you don't completely close them. You just talk about them a little bit or something, but they didn't touch on anything. So yeah, anything to do with like you said, Wolf, the fate of any of these named clones, like what's happened, like how, like, yeah,
here's one of my ha's. Everyone fucking lived. That's what I had written down.
That is accurate.
And yeah, we covered the other one. I was like, sounds like the Rebel Alliance is a known thing, so probably taking place during Andor Season 2. You're our kid Omega, you always will be. Yeah, so there you go. There's the Haas, and that's it. That is our last ever breakdown of the Bad Batch, but it doesn't mean it's our last conversation about the Bad Batch, because as Nick and I usually do after a Star Wars series end, we kind of like to have a grade out, a report out period, where we will revisit our preseason predictions and dreams. So you'll be getting that next week. That will be the last live show with Nick and I for a few weeks. So be on the lookout for not necessarily schedule changes, but we're going to be taking a week off coming up here to get ready for the Acolyte. Then we're going to drop a recorded episode doing our preseason setup for the Acolyte. And I am hoping the week of the show for May 15, I will have a special guest to help me do the live. You're not going to see, after next week, you will not see Nick and I together again until our first Acolyte breakdown.
Yeah.
Go ahead
just
and
got some
go ahead
real
and
life
cry.
stuff going on.
Send your money.
That's it.
Go ahead. Shower us in praise and love. Thank you. All right. I kind of feel like I got to take a shit, so I'm glad we're getting close to the end here.
We're getting close to the end.
But yeah, that's it.
Yes.
Nothing to speculate on. Just letting you know, next week we will be revisiting our wants and predictions, and I think it's going to be pretty funny because we pretty much missed everything. And we wanted a little bit more than they were willing to give. So we'll do that. Hopefully I have a guest for the week of the 15th. We'll be off the week after that, and then we'll have a recorded the week before Acolyte. And then, like I said, June 5, our happy asses will be here, hopefully gushing about the first 2 episodes, because unless you're unaware, it's a dual drop.
It's a double dropper.
And I will say, I wish I would have pulled up the material beforehand, but Star Wars Sith, who kind of pops in and out sometimes, he's like me. I mean, he's always got his fucking ankles wading through the Star Wars shit, but he put up a post wherever they live, Nick. It looks like they may be doing a theater release for the Acolyte premiere.
See,
which is something.
That was another one of my suggestions.
Last summer, you were kind of pounding that drum left and right. You remember they did it for. I think they did it for Ahsoka a little bit, didn't they? Or the Mandalorian? Maybe they put some episodes
did a mid-season Ahsoka one.
Okay,
yeah, they did.
So
they did a mid-season.
Yeah, obviously we'll let you know if that is going to be a thing. It's probably just going to be at special theater chains, but I wanted to give Sith credit for that. I do remember seeing that pop up in one of his feeds. So, and the runtime said 2 hours for the 2 episodes, so not too shabby.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
All right. Well, hey, at this point in time of the show, it is fan segment time. Do 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 do. That's right, people. We do it every week on this happy little show, the SWTS, and you don't even have to be a paying member to participate. All you gotta do is pay attention, and hopefully the AI overlords running your social media algorithms allow you to see our content. The only way to help that is to tap, tap, love, tap, tap, share, tap, tap, comment, tap, tap, save. Let the machines know you think we're at least mediocre. All right? Then you'll see our stuff and you'll have a better chance to get involved. So if you've been here since the beginning, bless you. You have brain damage. But we kind of showed you one way to get in. That's Ask Us Anything, truly anything. We do that every show. As Nick said, we need to limit it. But we start the show with that, and then we end with this fan segment, which is our question of the week. So we'll read responses to those who have replied. And of course, our bread and butter, the thing that used to bring the masses, the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. So before we get there, Nick, we always like to address the questions of our fans. So let's go ahead and get that going.
Yep.
Dork, what are you doing, bro? Come on. Yeah, you did miss it, but you can always catch
Jared.
the replay. We love you. Yeah. We speak your name.
Actually, right now, if you want to, you can just rewind it during the live show, and then you can see it just a little bit behind. But it's all there for you. Catch it.
You probably didn't miss much. Nick said he hates everybody. He hates Jennifer. He hates Brad, and he hopes Dave Filoni goes blind. That's just that's your teaser.
I didn't say that. I did say that they need to not write Star Wars stuff for a little bit.
I love it. All right.
Jennifer and Brad in particular.
So the question of the week, young Nick, is how we feeling about Bad Batch this week? And we did get some replies, mostly from the regs, a.k.a. our members now. Even more important, like I said, if you are a member, your name is being proudly scrolled in the infamous SWTS scrolling box on the live stream. So, Nick, how are they feeling about Bad Batch this week?
Well, let's see. First response here is from the Beyond the Dune Seers.
I will tell you, I joined their channel too, Nick. It was a show of, they joined ours, I joined theirs.
Very nice. Very, very nice. But they hit us with a spoiler answer. So just to make sure that nobody saw something that they didn't want to see before they saw it. Very nice. But they go on to say, I'm still feeling out my own thoughts. I liked it, ? But also they didn't commit to anything in the end. Nearly every major plot point was just ended unceremoniously, besides Hemlock's death, which was great. Crosshair's hand cut off, never mentioned again. Wrecker on Death's door, the whole episode, nah, he's fine. Necromancer, screw it, fund the Death Star. Character moments were peak, but I'm not sure. I'm not just sure they stuck the landing. To be completely honest with you, after I watched the episode, I was in a very similar spot to either Connor or Seth, whoever was the respondent. It's probably Connor.
Yeah, it's Connor.
I kind of felt the same way. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this episode. I don't know. I was like, there's some good things in it. There's clearly some misses in it. And then it took me a while to really process to the point to where I got to where I was ultimately like, it checked the boxes it needed to check, but there was a lot of things that are just unsatisfyingly left open. And yeah, so I think that me and Connor have kind of come to a very similar feeling on this episode. Like, it was okay, but I was more disappointed by what was left out than I was happy with what was done. So
yeah, I mean, listen, there's a reason they command a strong, loyal audience over there. 300 plus views alive, good traction on other content. For a younger fan, a prequel homer, he's got pretty good analysis. That's why we let him hang out, and I choose to talk to him. Although he's now becoming much harder to reach on Instagram. I'm going to have to convince him to make us a close contact so we stand out, because they're getting so many messages over there.
The DMs.
Yeah, he can't, he can't address the old guy staring at clouds anymore. I see how it is, Connor. I see how it is. Listen. Yeah. I think I would be right in line with both of you if it wasn't for the epilogue and how it just fucking clobbered me over the head.
That's what it seems like, because
the epilogue completely redeemed this finale for me in that cheap sense, but I agree with all your points.
Yeah. So it does seem like you had that like punch at the end that really made it strong for you, and it just didn't.
Like, we're gonna get the Tones comment. I'm telling you, people my age with kids, I don't know how you get through that, even if you don't have a girl, without going, fuck. I don't like this shit. I don't like feeling this way. But yeah, hey, listen. Right. He's going to change his tune in a few weeks. I just learned this man's about to be a father of his own little baby girl. So good luck, Connor.
Congratulations,
keeping that
Connor,
pace up with your show. I mean, the boys, they just, they hosted their first con this past weekend. I'll be interested to see if he can keep up that schedule, being a new dad. But we wish him luck. May the force be with him.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck, of course. Next up, League of Extraordinary Sixthers. She says, as many of you know, I was never a huge fan of The Bad Batch, but I enjoyed it because it's Star Wars. I never understood why such a minor arc in the Clone Wars received so much attention, yet others were left on the table. I mean, it's a legitimate question, and I totally understand your standpoint, League. Next up, Tones 1138. He's got a very long response here. Not very long, but he has a very well thought out response, I will say. Emotional and outstanding finale. Brutal blaster deaths with multiple body and headshots and very well done conclusions and goodbyes. Omega's hug with Crosshair had me all messed up, incredibly emotional. Necromancer pushed aside for Stardust. Tarkin looking after his own interests. Absolutely loved that. So pleased they never killed off the group, and that epilogue was heart-wrenchingly emotional. I thoroughly enjoyed season 3. Not many hang-ups over some loose ends and cameos like Shan and Ventress just for the hell of it, but easily my favorite season of the 3. Gonna miss the guys. Need an announcement at Celebration Japan for new animation show, hopefully. So yeah, I mean, Tones really was into it. I'm glad that there are people out there who enjoyed it and are excited for new Star Wars animation.
You notice it is like the older we are, I think the more accepting we are of it. It's funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I mean, like, again, I think that this is a lot of like, if you have kids, then it's better type of mentality or type of focus on this show.
Yeah.
Because it ultimately, like, that's what the show was about. It was about a kid and her found family.
Yep.
And that's exactly what Tross was about in the sequels, but nobody seems to give a shit about that. So.
What was stupid, like the family thing, and I don't even. You're a Palpatine. Your dad was a clone from a failed project called Necromancer.
But it's about the found family.
Oh, yeah.
Just like for Omega. Just like for Omega. It's about the
I
found
don't know. For
family.
some reason, that I just didn't connect those dots and trust, man. It just didn't work out that way.
All right, next up, Johnny Osage. We can always count on Johnny for a good response here. He says, hello, SWTS. He always greets us in the beginning. I appreciate that. It was a good episode. Really, yes, indeed. Really enjoyed the freeing of the clones and CF99 rescue. Yes, it left a few open ends, but I guess this leaves more storytelling opportunities, especially with that ending. Maybe we see Miss Fett in Andor.
Not far off, but no chance because Tony Gilroy.
Yeah, there's no fucking chance.
Unless Dave held a gun to his head and said, Tony, you're putting this fucking character in here. No chance in hell.
Yeah, the only thing that I could see happening is that they stealth filmed a secret episode of Andor without him knowing, and they're going to put it in the series run.
I haven't brought it up because we're still far off, but he's dropping some killer quotes about season 2 already. He's like, Nick, I believe he said, I believe this is the most important work I've ever done.
I mean,
and I'm like,
honestly,
sing it to the mountain, Tony. Let's go.
It's not fucking hard for that to be Tony's best work. Like for him to be like the actual director and creator of it. Yeah, it probably is.
I like Nova's take here. Us old dudes went through years having no new content, so we respect whatever new. Yeah, he's kind of right. I mean, yeah, remember you.
I mean, I was there. I was there too.
But you're a little mushier brained. Some of these guys, Nick, are like late 40s, 50s. So I mean, there is a pretty decent gap.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, real quick, Clips Films Melbourne is back, and I just want to make sure they know that we gave them credit last week for their Zillow Beast call. And yes, while it didn't eat hemlock, it was still a very nice speculation you had a few weeks ago. So we speak your name.
It would have been a good one.
We speak your name.
I think it did eat a random stormtrooper though.
It stepped on plenty. A few scientists got punched. Yeah, I mean, the Zillow Beast, it was fun. I mean, it definitely got its revenge and then hung out in the forest and probably got eaten by lurker hounds.
Yeah, 100%. All right, and then to close out the question of the week, this is, Star Wars Toy 73.
Oh, I think there's another page, so don't go anywhere yet, buddy. Yeah.
There's actually 2 more pages, so that's not it.
Oh, shit.
Star Wars Toy 73 says it tied the series up pretty good, kind of left a few things unanswered, however. The action was badass, and Crosshairs probably cemented himself as my favorite Bad Batcher. Right. Hitting that shot left-handed was mint.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm glad I invested in all of the Bad Batch Hot Toys, and I do hope they do an Omega now, although it's probably not going to happen.
We'll see. Baron's Black Series says, what a nice little bow.
Rolling eyes.
Yeah, the rolling eyes emoji. So he was not a fan. He says, I like the ending, I guess. So they're all just bumming around the galaxy and Omega is a part of the Rebels. Feels too open-ended. So they can all return. Even Cody. Scorch is the only named clone that died. So it looks like the emotional punch at the end of it didn't help Spencer along the way.
No.
But
yeah, I mean his kid's still young, so he's probably like, man, this thing sucks. It just lays there and makes noise, shits, pisses, and keeps me up all night. At least for me, because I'm kind of a bad person. I would say I didn't really start the bond with Charlie until she was about 1, and then it got better at 2. I needed her to somewhat be a human before I could really appreciate her in my life. I'm being serious. Like I'd say from 0 to about 10 or 11 months, I was fairly hands off.
There you go. Because
it's
maybe
so much fucking work, dude. Fuck.
Maybe in a couple of years he can rewatch and give an update.
He's got a little boy too. Like I don't know. Like I mean, Tones does, but Tones has had to go through. Like I believe
Tones has got
I believe both of his sons have left the nest. So. Hey, it is what it is, man. What can I say? It just I'm not looking forward to watching it with Charlie and my wife because I know I'll lose it and Charlie will point at me and laugh.
Charlie's gonna be like, "What are you crying about?"
She'll be like, "Oh, you're gonna cry, aren't you?" I mean, she's already an evil person. She's like, "Oh, you loser, you pussy."
There you go.
I feel like Charlie is essentially a 1950s man. Yeah,
Dude,
no.
Charlie is just you when you were younger.
It's not it's not good because I believe she might have called my mother fat this past trip, and I'm like, I wonder where she sees someone calling other people fat, and I was like,
and I don't know. I've met your mother. Miss Elaine is not a fat woman at all.
Listen, man, sometimes I forget that they're very malleable, and I talk a little too honestly and freely about strangers when we're out in public. So, and sadly, I think she now thinks that that's normal.
That's okay.
Yeah, and she just says it to people instead of just talking shit behind their back like I do. So
you got to tell us, like, you can't. You have to say that around Dad.
We're gonna have to
other people.
We're gonna have to work on our social commentary for sure.
Yeah. All right. Next up, 2797 Studios. Here we go. He says, "Oh boy, here we go. It was okay, and that's a problem. Left way too much open. So many storylines just ended with no resolution. Wrecker and Crosshair should both be dead.
Damn, Bat's like fucking killing everybody.
Wrecker could have had a glorious ending. All that angst and indecision, and all they needed to do was cut off Crosshair's bad hand. Oh, okay.
Hey, that's one way to take care of a shaky hand, man. You just fucking chop it off.
Don't have it anymore. Just don't have it anymore. And just give him just give him an echo hand where you can put other hands on it. You can just switch the hand out. Clone Force X was just window dressings in the end. Scorch goes down like a bitch. Hemlock and Rampart get theirs. Was about the best moment. At least Echo lived. Glad you were wrong about that. And got a girlfriend, it seems.
There you go. Bat's into that shipping tunes. That a boy.
Yeah, he's there. They wrapped it up and left it wide open for the next show. Dude, there's so many people who are like, the next show. I really don't think it's coming. Like I said,
if they do it, it can't be through the lens of a clone, Asajj only, and that potentially could be the only thing revealed on May the 4th, just because of the timing. This show's ending. It would make sense if you're in marketing, like, oh, hey, by the way, next year you're getting this.
Yeah, and then he says, hopes were high when this all began, but in the end, we all ended up in the same mouse trap. Yeah, dude. And the thing is like, if we actually get an Asajj animated show, it ain't gonna do shit with the clones.
It better not, because it will make no sense.
Yeah, there's just no avenue for her as a character to be a segue into. Well, I'm gonna do clone shit.
There would have been if Omega would have went with her, as was potentially teased. But like I said, that epilogue to me was a clear signal to fans. Like, no, this is where Omega's at right now. Fuck the past 15 years. So.
Yeah, Omega is shipped off to Rebel Pilot Academy, which is not going to give her time to fucking work with, Ventress or anybody else that is still open, quote unquote, by the end of this show. Unless you're going to do a pilot school Omega show, which fucking God, I hope they don't. And I don't know how you get clone resolution now. I just don't think it happens. I think that the clone, like I said, and like me and Matt both said, the clone era is over now. And I think that we have to get comfortable with that. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Mando Pirate, last one here.
There's a cast. Did you get the Casper Sizub?
Oh shoot, I missed that one. Jesus, man. All right, Casper Sizub. He says, I liked it so much they closed many things very fast, but it was very, very well done. And for me, it's fine ending, and it leaves space for some new Star Wars projects. A lot of people just I guess we're so used to it that it's just the expectation.
We've been conditioned.
Yeah, I mean, you essentially, if you think about storytelling in the Clone Wars era, here's how it went. You had, your prequel movies, and then spun off of the middle movie was another animated movie.
Correct.
So you go from Attack of the Clones to Clone Wars to the Clone Wars movie to the Clone Wars series. So this is all just stepping right off of each other. They're all spinning off of each other to 7 seasons of the Clone Wars and then into Bad Batch. But here's the thing. Is all of those stories were spun off of one central thesis. that the clones were still a big force in the galaxy to reckon with, and now they're not. The clone story is over. So I don't see where you spin to have another series that is still talking about clones. There's just no other avenue for that to happen. I could be wrong, but I really don't think that it's just going to be like, oh, okay, well, now we're going to step from Bad Batch into this. I just don't think that that's going to happen.
Agreed.
Mando Pirate says, I ended up liking it, but never got any tears like the show creators said there was going to be. I guess the batch just lived happily ever after in the galaxy. I was shocked when they went back to live on Pabu, especially since the Empire knew where it was. I guess most of the clones go to Pantora, and that's where they stay. Yeah, I mean,
that's that, buddy. You got it.
That's that.
You
nailed
summed it up.
You hit it nail on the head.
That's exactly what happened, and hey, here we are. I mean, listen, I know it sounds like this ruined my life. It didn't. I was entertained today, and as I've explained, that epilogue kind of was the cherry I was hoping for. It doesn't excuse all the open threads that we've discussed, and now the fans have also identified. So
yeah,
we still love Star Wars here. There is always time for Star Wars time, but hey, you got to critique where critiques are warranted.
And that's the thing is, if I didn't care, I wouldn't say anything. I'd just be like, yeah, it was all right.
No, I love that you are somewhat engaged and have strong opinions. It's good. So let's go. I hope the Acolyte is as fun as Ahsoka was until Thrawn shows up and you were ready to light it on fire. So here we go. I do listen. Like I'm not an apologist, but I do tend, and this is odd for me because I love living in the negative and pessimism. But when it comes to Star Wars, I do tend to prefer to mostly stay in the positive. I do. It's just like there's too much negative in the world in my life. When it comes to Star Wars, I do prefer to speak of it glowingly, but sometimes you got to punch it in the dick a few times.
Yeah. So
the sequels, the prequels, all that type of shit.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't put out well thought out criticism or in critiques, then things will never get better. Like, not that anybody who makes Star Wars listens to this show.
No.
But there is value in legitimate criticism and critique of art, because that's how people get better. That's how things get better. That's how people learn about, like, oh, well, maybe we could have done this better. Maybe we could have paid more attention.
I spent 16 weeks trying to convince soon-to-be college grads that failure is more important than success in life. So I'm with you.
So, all right, but that's it. That's the end of our fan question segment. Thank you to everybody who got involved with that. And if you want to get involved, make sure to follow us at StarWarsTime.show on the Instagram. And then you can also follow us on TikTok as well. It's at Star Wars Time Show on TikTok. So make sure to follow us there as well. We have some content there for you to consume and then also not comment on, or comment on if you so choose. Now we're going to move into the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. To get involved with this segment, also follow at StarWarsTime.show on Instagram. Tag us, add tag at StarWarsTime.show on your Instagram Star Wars posts. And that is how I pick my top 5 out of our tagged posts.
Bango.
So make sure to do that. All right. Kicking off the top 5 for this week, we have at Star Wars Black Series Fan. Star Wars Black Series Fan has mashed up 2 of our favorite Sithy boys. That's Darth Vader and Darth Malgus.
Here's Malgi right here. Got him still. He's one of my desk guys these days.
And honestly, as somebody who has spent a lot of time with Darth Malgus,
you know way more about Malgi than I do.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fantastic character. He really kind of drives the dark side focus of the Imperial side for that game during that era, during the Old Republic era. And I really do wish that there was some way that we could mash together Darth Vader and Malgus in some sort of way. I think it would be a fun
Nick,
combination.
is he, I mean, I guess we could look it up, but is he bigger than Vader? Like overall physically larger, you think?
Damn, dude, that's a good question, because I do think with his prosthetics, he stands nearly 7 foot tall.
Oh,
like he's big.
Malgus had fake legs too.
He had some prosthetic, like added prosthetic legs, and I think he had some, like a prosthetic arm as well. One of his arms might have been prosthetic.
Right. He just
and then
seems
rebreather.
He seems thicker than Anakin.
He does. He's much more muscular for sure.
There we go.
Much more muscular, and a much more human body. He's not right. He's not like 70%.
Is that thing on his
electronics?
Is that thing on his face permanent? Like Malik, or is that just like a breathing mask?
So it is a breathing mask, but it has to stay on, I believe. And if you go back and you watch some of the release trailers for SWTOR, there is one of them that explains the rebreather mask. Like he gets hit by some pretty heavy action in the field and needs to use the rebreather from there. But
so what the fuck was Malik's problem? Why did he cut his bottom jaw off and replace it with metal?
His bottom jaw was completely missing, so it's not like he just had a rebreather.
I'm looking at this guy like what did he do this for? Huh? Like,
I can't remember if that was like.
I don't think it's not explored in the game, right? I mean, he's already that way.
Yeah, whatever happened when Revan and Malik went into the unknown regions to search for the Emperor, the lost Emperor. But I don't know if it was ever explained why his jaw was completely missing.
And I forget, were these two master apprentice or master, Malik and Revan? I
believe that they were both knights, right? I don't think that either of them were a master.
But when they went dark side, did they follow Rule of Two, or was that not a thing yet?
That was not, the Rule of Two was not instituted.
Okay, so they were essentially equals, and I can't remember. Yeah. Did they end up turning on each other, and that's why Revan got knocked out on the ship, or?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so.
It's been a while since I've played through the game in full.
So like Revan was like the de facto leader of the two of them.
Right. That's what I thought.
And then
but then they sift like out eventually. You're like, no, I want to be the guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was never like, I don't believe it was like Revan as the master and then Malik was the apprentice.
I think I started a run on my iPad like a year or two ago and then just
I do remember you talking about it.
I think I'm on Tatooine doing that shit.
Yeah, doing all the
all right.
What you call it, the Tusken Raiders.
Sorry, Star Wars Black Series fan, you kicked us into a patented SWTS tangent, but we do appreciate the work. Thanks for using the tag. Don't forget to check out at Star Wars Black Series fan on Instagram.
That is right. Next up, Burkhead Toys here gives us a fun crossover between Lucasfilm properties. So we see a shot here with the lead character of Indiana Jones in a temple. Looks very familiar to the temple from Raiders of the Lost Ark in the beginning. And he is staring down the age-old problem of this idol, and the idol is a little green idol of Ahsoka with a loth cat right next to it. On the pedestal, he's weighing, how do I get this thing off without setting off this trap? I just thought it was an awesome little crossover of Indiana Jones and Star Wars. It fits so well in the Indiana Jones universe too that it doesn't even really feel out of place. But yeah, it's just a cool shot here.
Nick, I think there's a subset of Star Wars fans that do believe the Indiana Jones universe and the Star Wars universes are in the same canon,
like shared canon.
So,
I mean, honestly, it could be because we've never seen Star Wars people come to Earth before.
Well, remember though, it always says a long time ago. So
yeah, exactly.
We just reverted back to basic technology is what happened.
I mean, it could be a long time ago in the sense that it happened in the 1930s, which is where the story of Indiana Jones starts.
There you go.
So, there we go. But good stuff here from Burkhead Toys. I really like the crossover action happening.
Agreed.
Next up, we have Comic Dad Shots giving us just a straight up Buckethead in the field photo here. I just really like the light diffusion and the atmospheric effects that were used. The posing and the weathering of the figure is awesome as well. It's just like a beat down clone. You can see one of his
brother.
Oh yeah, Stormtrooper. I'm in clone mindset from Bad Batch.
It happens.
Yeah, a beat down Stormtrooper with a dead comrade right next to him in the field in the heat of battle, and he He's breaking down. He can't take it anymore. I also like the alternate versions of this shot that Comic Dad Shots has in his little.
Let me scroll through them for the people. There we go.
Yeah, so like the third one actually looks really cool. I do like that warmer color palette.
Yeah.
I think it looks awesome.
Yeah, that's a good shot. And I believe Comic Dad has dubbed this guy as Gary. Gary. The Stormtrooper, yeah. So
he's having a rough day.
Looks good there, Comic Dad Shots on Instagram.
That's right. Next up, Star Wars Rick is giving us a look at one of our favorite squadrons, Phoenix Squadron, with the inclusion of Ahsoka there. So we see Hera, we see Sabine, we see Chopper, we see a dead Stormtrooper, and we see in the front, with both of her white lightsabers ignited, Ahsoka Tano. Now, is this something that we may see in Ahsoka Season 2, Matt, do you think?
If they somehow get the big boss and her apprentice back to the known galaxy, yeah, I would hope so, but we still haven't figured out how that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I loved Ahsoka. I'm excited we got to Season 2. At least it's been greenlit. I still think we are at least 2 years from getting any sort of resolution. So, yes, Nick, I do believe this has high potential if they can somehow get back to the known galaxy.
Yeah. How do you get off of Peridia? That's the big question.
Or maybe this happened before Sabine decided to quit and go back to Lothal. So, I mean, this could have already happened.
Could have. Good stuff there from @StarWars_Rick on Instagram. And then to close it out, this is a fun shot here. Because I saw this is from
dudes.
SWBS_Adventures on Instagram. And this is a fun shot. This is just Chewie and Han hanging out. And you know that they just had hangout sessions on the Falcon when Leia was off doing fucking Senate stuff, or when after Leia and Han had separated. They just had good days where Chewie's playing the guitar and then Han is sitting there like, dude, you don't like Iron Maiden? Right. What the fuck, man?
It's like, you gotta play it like these guys, dude. Yeah. Shred it.
They got the beer, you get the Coronas on the ground, you got the popcorn in the corner, you got the two turntables there with the music playing and all of the cool posters and stereo system set up throughout the room. I mean, I saw this and I was like, dude, of course they did this. Of course they did this. They just had some bro hangout sessions where they're knocking back spotchka and they're playing whatever instruments you play in the fucking Star Wars
Chewie's
universe.
Right there is like do 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 do.
Yeah, and that's why Han's got the Iron Maiden.
No.
He's like, don't play that fucking song. Yeah,
enough of the goddamn Cantina band. Fuck that guy. What's his name? Who runs the band? Shit. How did I forget
the modal
this?
Nodes.
Yeah, the modal nodes, but there's like one
Dan Figurin.
Yeah, Dangerin Figure, Dang Figurin or Fingering something. So, I love it. I mean, dude, I just love when toy photographers go to this level to craft the sets. I mean, the little records are amazing. You can see the walls in there. You got Smells Like Teen Spirit. You got the little vinyl players. It's fun. It's a fun shot there.
It's a super fun
from SWBS_Adventures.
That's right. And hey, Ripik Tan, if you're still listening, use this shot as a little bit of inspiration. Just a fun side of Star Wars. You're asking what you could do next. Just, have a little fun with it. Have a little fun with it.
Listen, no, we can consult on many things, even toy photography setups. That's just what you get here at the SWTS, right, Nick? That's
right.
You never know.
But hey, that's the end of the top 5. That's the end of our show for this week. And hey, that's the end of Bad Batch. So hey, Matt, close us out.
You got it, buddy. I'm kind of glad we got here. We're still under our 2.5 hour mark, but for some reason I've had a turtle head popping out of my butt for like the last 45 minutes. I'm not sure where it's coming from because I don't really think I've eaten much the past 2 days, and I intermittent fast anyways. So I have some demon trying to exit my orifice down below. But hey, we made it. I didn't shit my pants. That's always a bonus. You don't want to shit your pants live on air. But we're here. It's StarWarsTime.net time. And what is that, you ask? Well, that is our home base on the internet. It really is the easiest URL, domain, whatever you want to call it, to tell people that you're trying to get interested or to help them get keyed into the Star Wars Time show and all of our platforms. Yes, we have plenty. We're not just a YouTube act. In fact, we take what we do on YouTube and we put it out on podcasts a day later. And we're pretty much on every network, at least the ones you care about, i.e. Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music. We're there. Sub up. Please, if you're on one of those platforms, leave those ratings and reviews. They go a long way. Even if they're slightly negative, it's okay. We can take it. But we just want that honest feedback. Same thing on YouTube. Don't forget, if you're watching this now, like the video, leave a comment, share it. Novel ideas, right? If you haven't subbed yet, sub. Do that too. It doesn't cost you a thing. Although, if you do want to shell out some money to us two bozos, we now offer memberships. You can find links right here in the description of the live stream. And anyone that does it, listen, it touches us on a human level. I can promise you that. For the first time in a long time, I felt somewhat motivated about Star Wars again. It has nothing to do about the revenue. It's just like, oh, there are some people that care. And that's all I've ever asked for. So keep up the good fight. We appreciate you, members. Don't forget to tell your parents that you showed up in the SWTS member roll call scroll. That's something to be proud of. Almost.
And you can join for as little as $1.99 a month.
That's right. That's right. We have a very low tier. We go $1.99, $4.99, $9.99. And thank you to everyone again who has signed up and has either become a Sith Lord, or the ultimate Dark Lord of the Sith. I've been doing my damnedest to try to provide some content for you all. Hopefully it's working. I have implemented a members-only window for our shorts that actually works well, because if I share content earlier, no one's going to see it anyways. So I just open it up to members right when I publish it, and then it goes to the public usually around 6 o'clock when we do have a chance for YouTube to show it to at least 5 humans. So that's that, my friends. Don't forget, there's always time for Star Wars Time. StarWarsTime.net, the best vehicle to tell new fans how to get involved. We truly do appreciate you all, especially you live streamers, but even you diehards out there download the podcast. Nick and I see the numbers going up. We're paying the bigger AWS bills, at least real shit. Last month we got fucked. Some dickhead left like a stream open or figured out a way to just constantly peg us and racked up a pretty decent little bill. But we're back on track. Numbers are going up across the board, so we thank you all. We speak your names. There's always time for Star Wars Time, and if you listen to the Star Wars Time show, the Force will be with you always.